But I think the development of full artificial intelligence could spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
It was a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1. 1, 6, 3, 2, 9, 7.
Media doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. Somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you, in earnest, into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we're streaming on YouTube, Rockfin, Rumble, Twitter, and Twitch. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network, that is KUAP Digital Broadcasting. Tonight we take you to the depths of the sea. Have you noticed, watching news cycles, that there's a lot of information flowing out about the ocean these days? I do wonder, per usual, right, that synchromistic life, if there's something to this. Now, it's one of the weird things that if you kind of go back into, let's say, the annals of the ufology, UAP sort of aspect and conversation when it comes to the ocean, there's even a classification of things called what are they called? USOs, unidentified submersible objects, right? And so it just happens that there's been this confluence of events in my life. It may not be what everybody else is seeing here, that I'm seeing all this stuff that kind of lines up together per usual. And of course, it rocks through the news cycle. I'm turn on a UFO show on TV real quick to kind of just burn some time last night as I'm doing my taxes. Don't get me started. And there's talking USOs, right? Like the actual UFOs that go underwater. And I'm like, all right, this is fine. This is cool. This is like an old one. This is an old trope, right? Come on. This is at least a few years back. But even more strange that there's a ton of news coming out as well that's talking about other, let's say, anomalies in the ocean. And another one that kind of was semi-recent as well. There's a lot of things happening. Per usual, right? It's a wide world, as I always say, and there's many things always in play, always in motion, including, of course, the ocean itself. But so basically here, I'll show you where we're going to start, and we'll just begin. And so we're doing all the things. Again, we have everything running except for Twitter X Spaces. So that's the one we haven't got yet. I was trying to set it up today and get everything perfectly done, and I'm running out of screen space to have all these cool things up because. Anyway, it's a long story, and I don't want to bore you to tears. Let's get to the monsters, right? So here's the thing. Here's where we begin today, and this is the one that kind of iced it and kind of put everything together for me. I was like, all right, so what's going on? This is literally published today on theconversation.com. Link's going to be in the description down below. And if you're into this stuff, I encourage you to read all these things in full because there's a lot of really wild information here. But this is from theconversation.com, and the headline is this: Rogue waves in the ocean are much more common than anyone suspected, says new study. Oh, you don't say, right? Anybody, shout out Matzell in California. Anybody that grew up near the ocean or has spent any time around the ocean knows, as Matzell wisely said, you don't turn your back to the ocean because you never know when there's going to be a swell or a swell or a rogue wave kind of just roll in, and you're just chilling on the rocks, taking a selfie, and then bam, it grabs you and takes you out. We've seen this stuff. It happens, right? This is it happens to people on video and whatnot, and it's horrifying. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, just don't get too close, right? I spent a lot of time growing up around the ocean. I was blessed in that regard. Again, having grandparents and some friends that lived up Monterey Way, Central California, and we were able to walk to the ocean, which was absolutely fantastic. And so we spent a lot of time down there, and just hanging out as kids. Where I know not everybody gets to do that, and there's many landlocked areas where you kind of wish you pine for the ocean, right? The smell of the sea and the rest of that stuff. It's definitely a calling that humans have. But the weird part is how this kind of fits together is that this weird synchronicity, right? As we say, the old Carl Jung sync here. But so this published today, and rogue waves in the ocean are much more common than anyone suspected. I'm going to read just a little bit of this. It's pretty long, and again, this is the cool thing about theconversation.com is it's completely open source, so I could read this entire thing, and but I don't want to go too far into that and bore you to tears. But listen to this. Straight from the article. We used three-dimensional imaging of ocean waves to capture freakish seas that produce a notorious phenomenon known as rogue waves. Our results are now published in the Physical Review Letters. Links there if you guys want to check it out. Rogue waves are the giant colossi of the sea, twice as high as neighboring waves that appear seemingly out of nowhere. Stories of unimaginable mountains of water as tall as 10-story buildings have populated maritime folklore and literature for centuries. Of course, also sea monsters, and also more recently UFOs, right? Which we'll get to some of those things in a minute here as well. But so recent technology has allowed scientists to spot rogue waves out at sea, making legend become reality. The first and most famous measurement was of the Doppler wave, a 25.6 meter monster recorded in the North Sea on January 1st, 1995. Boom. Yeah, that's a big wave, right? Which exactly this gets weird. So despite observations, we still don't know how often rogue waves occur, or if we can predict them. Good luck on that. The ocean's a pretty wild place. A record of a rogue wave doesn't include specific features that distinguish the sea around it, so we can't make comparisons to predict the conditions needed. So their team set sail on the South African icebreaker S8 S.A. Agulhas 2, I believe is how you say that, to chase rogue waves across the Southern Ocean, where mighty winds shape Earth's fiercest waves, which is pretty cool. And if you read this, you can see they're talking about the wave's direction of travel. They're talking about the wavelength and the wave frequency and how this type of stuff happens, right? And they're making differentiations, which is absolutely wild to me, of mature waves and fledgling waves, right? So think about the ocean deep and the mature ocean that's been there for thousands and thousands or even millions of years. Right? How do you do the Argmady, whatever it is? I'm terrible at this stuff, but okay. So deal is this, right? So this is where this kind of culminated in the weekend for me, because I was doing, like I said, taxes and things, and just trying to catch up and get everything rolling with the StreamYard and everything else. But this gets even more weird, because not only do we have rogue waves happening, let's see, where is it? We got this other thing that happened in the past week. If you guys saw this, it's absolutely wild. If you haven't, and this is from newsweek.com, and this is, again, this will be linked down below if you want to check this out. But mystery as underwater anomaly larger than Texas spotted off African coast. You guys seen this? Yeah. Alien wave. Okay. All kinds of wild stuff. So we got this confluence of events, and I saw this one last week, or was it 2 weeks ago or something? And I was like, yeah, I mean, it's another sensor anomaly or something, whatever. Right. So here we go. Check this out. I'm gonna read just a little bit from this, and then we'll get into the rest as we go. Okay. So a wave anomaly captured by a weather mapping system sparked a global mystery this week, which was last week, I believe, with some internet sleuths even claiming it proves the existence of aliens. Yes! Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, right? A giant cluster of waves over 80 feet high and spanning 2,000 miles, an area larger than Texas, appeared to move through the ocean off the coast of Africa on April 10th, in a journey that lasted about 24 hours before it vanished. Some online commentators said the formation could only have been created by something moving under the surface of the sea, making it an unidentified submersible object, the ocean equivalent of a UFO. Dun dun dun, right? As we know, this has been got a lot of play recently in a lot of different ways, okay? So here's the thing. The wave anomaly was picked up by Ventusky, I think that's how you say it, Ventusky, a meteorological app run by the Czech company Inmeteo, INMETEO, which allows users to observe weather patterns, winds, and waves using real-time data. Okay, but here's the thing. If you guys haven't seen this, I'll get this in a new, there we go. All right. So all this will be linked so you guys can check this out if you guys are listening audio style. But there's this massive thing. So here's the South Horn of Africa, South Africa specifically, and some of those other countries that I couldn't tell you because my geography is not that great in South Africa. But I do know the bottom one is South Africa, okay? But check this out. Look at the size of this thing. It is literally as big as the entire bottom third of Africa or something. I mean, fifth, 20% of the African continent, at least on this map, which is absurd. I mean, the size of this thing is just like, what the hell is this? Which is, of course, gets what's up? He keeps dropping my talk. What are you talking about? Okay, so here's the deal, right? So this particular thing here is this, Godzilla, right? Yeah. So people were freaking out, as people are wont to do. Again, we've had how many end of the world scares in the past week or 10 days or something. Like I said, at least two. So there's that. But then we have this other stuff happening where we have this massive anomaly, and they're calling it like a 100-foot wave. Okay, but of course, the obvious thing that makes you go, okay, this is probably an anomaly, because you would expect the people of South Africa to have noticed 100-foot waves, right? I mean, that's something you don't miss. But anyway, okay, so back to it. Links are in the description if you want to check it out and read a little bit more about this, because it is a wild thing, all right? Absolutely wild. But you get it, how this confluence of events come together, and you're like, wait a minute now, what the hell's going on here? Is there something happening that we should be paying attention to? And that's where my mind's at tonight, and we're going to get to not just the UFOs, we're going to get to Leviathan, we're going to get to maybe conjuring through ritual magic, the terror of the depths. Why not? Be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up. Don't go anywhere. A quick word from our sponsor, which is Jack in Oregon, and more Troubled Minds coming. Don't go anywhere. Let's see. I changed all my buttons here. Let's make sure everything's good. All right, be right back. Don't go anywhere. 1 minute. Feeling stressed? Overwhelmed? In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to get swept away by our emotions. Take a breath and find your inner strength with the Stoic Minute.
You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength.
The ancient Stoic philosophers understood that we can't control everything in life, but we can control how we react.
The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts.
Focus on what you can influence. Cultivate a positive mindset, and let go of what you can't change. Find your inner strength. Live each day with courage, wisdom, justice, and moderation. Embrace the Stoic virtues and find peace within. The Stoic Minute, brought to you by Jack in Oregon. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Let's continue. Leviathan Rising, I'm calling this. Now, it brought to mind, of course, as it does with me, my wild imagination. By the way, there's no truths to be found here. All the disclaimers apply. There are absolutely zero truths here, just kind of looking at these things from the synchro-mystic angle, news cycles, trying to put pieces together and consider if maybe something is amiss. Okay, that's it. And whether it's somewhere between here and there is for you to decide, but there's no truth, and I'm not claiming any truth to any of this, okay? So everybody chill, everybody relax. I already said it was probably a sensor anomaly, okay? Everybody relax. But the question becomes, in the philosophical construct, what if it's not? It's been one of those things that's been around for a very, very long time, the ocean, and let's say humankind's relationship with it has been, enigmatic, the enigma of the deep, as I'm calling this tonight. So anyway, so what do you know about this, the stuff that's going on? So a few questions as we begin. Do you think there is something happening with the oceans? And does AI play a role in this, hopefully, where we can have some, maybe some actual analysis to configure some of this stuff out? But that's an aside. That didn't really include that in the conversation. It just came to mind right now. But Lots of things happening with USOs, and specifically, let me point this out too, how this all fits together. So recently, in the last couple of weeks, this is actually the last couple of months, 2 months ago. So reddit.com posts this on, what is it, the subreddit UFOs. Google Maps and Earth have removed the ocean anomaly or structure off the coast of Malibu. And this has been one of those ones that, has made tinfoil tingle the world over, right? Okay. What did you just, bro? Okay, man. You want to let me do this or not? Okay, so that's the deal. Lots of this stuff, again, goes back to the Lou Elizondo stuff where they were talking about all the coast of California, the UFOs, and, the sharks and everything. Remember all that in the what was the show they had on the History Channel? I don't know. There's a lot to this, but it does seem like a lot of this is kind of resurfacing into the zeitgeist again right now, sort of this confluence of events. So I don't really know. I don't really know what the answers are here, but I do know that there's seems to be something that at least piqued my interest. And so what do you think is going on? So back to the rituals stuff. Now I'm gonna read this and then we'll bring on Jay Winch because he's chomping at the bit here. But think of this, like summoning the Kraken on the cliffs of the sea, right? Go back to the ancient Greeks or whatever. But this is something that probably has happened not just in ancient Greece, probably all over the world for time immemorial. And here's a quick little blurb regarding something probably very similar. Notice I used probably twice very specifically because it is fiction. Listen to this. The salt-stung air thrummed with a chant older than the weathered cliffs, a guttural murmur carried on the sea wind. On a basalt outcrop overlooking the moon-slicked waves, a hooded figure knelt, gnarled hands tracing sigils in the wet sand. The tide surged, a dark beast answering the call. It wasn't the sleek, serpentine form of the Kraken that rose from the depths. This monster was a thing of angles and shadows. Barnacle-encrusted limbs burst from the churning foam, impossibly long and tipped with talons that tore at the night sky. A single, multifaceted eye swiveled, focusing on the figure with a malevolent intelligence as ancient as the sea floor. This was no accidental summoning. This creature hadn't breached the veil between worlds in millennia. The ritual was precise, the sacrifice terrible. The power of this magnitude always came with a price, a fact the figure had factored into the meticulous design. The monster shrieked, a sound that cracked the weathered stone. It lashed out, not at its summoner, but towards the distant flicker of ship lanterns. This was a weapon, fueled by blood and ancient bargains. A vengeance. Oh, and vengeance was its intended purpose. What's up, guys? I see in the chat. I'll come say at the bottom of the hour. The figure watched the carnage unfold, the ship splintering like a child's toy beneath monstrous claws. There was no guilt, no remorse, only the grim satisfaction of a plan coming to fruition. Some prices the figure had long ago decided were worth paying. After all, in the war against encroaching empires and the inevitable fading of the old ways, the enemy of one's enemy was a useful ally, even if it crawled from the abyss, reeking of brine and undying hatred. And yeah, there you go. Leviathan-esque. And so this, you got to imagine this type of actual ritual summoning happening the world over for thousands of years. People trying to summon that terror from the depth, okay? The depths of the ocean themselves. But anyway, what do you know about this? Does it fit into UFOs? What the hell's going on with this? And how you guys feeling tonight? I hope everybody's doing well. Did you get your taxes done? Everybody everybody feeling good right now? Yeah, I'm super feeling good right now. So let's go take some calls. Thanks for guys for being enthusiastic about the conversations. Chomping at the bit. Jay Winch in Missouri. You're on Trouble Minds.
Can you hear me?
What's up, brother? I hear you. Can you hear me? Go right ahead.
Oh, okay, so you touched a lot of different things. I'm going to touch a bunch of different stuff, and if somebody wants to chime back in, sure, I'll chime back in. So you talked about the North Seas and the waves. You talked about the South Seas and Antarctica, and all of a sudden they're having 80 to 100-foot swells for no reason. Am I correct?
Sort of. Can you turn down whatever's in the back there? You got, is it us talking in the background?
Yeah, give me about 10 seconds. My wife put something on, and I just left it on so she could go to sleep and hear it.
That's okay.
Can
you move? Just move out of the room or something.
3, 2, one, force shut down the computer. It's done.
Well,
Does that sound better?
Okay. No, well, I wasn't saying to go turn your wife's television off. That's
the wife
incredibly
started
rude.
asleep, so we're
Okay.
good.
Okay. All right. I was going to say. Go ahead.
The North Seas, the sea shanty and the waves and the beast below the water. The hardest seas to sail was seas the Vikings sailed, tried to get to the North Pole. The second hardest sea to sail and try to get to was the South Pole. And somewhere between here and there was a bunch of people that fight on a daily basis today against each other, but they're all in agreement on the North and South Pole. That make sense?
I've never heard any of that before, but it does make sense the way you're describing it. Sure. So how does it fit?
So look at the Antarctic Treaty. Look at the Antarctic Treaty, and how many nations have a treaty that are also fighting each other right now today? The Antarctic Treaty has China, Russia, Europe, France, Germany, America, and countries in South America. Once they hit Antarctica, they're all cool and like, hey, we're the best friends. And then you go from there and you talk about your UFOs off the coast of California, where it looked like a object out of, I think what was it, Star Wars, at the bottom of the ocean off the coast of California.
Yeah, it actually looked like that? Yeah. So this, I've got it up on the screen. They just changed it 2 months ago. They fixed it so you couldn't see it, but it seemed like it was pillars underneath the shelf there. It almost seemed like it was an underground military base to me. Some people have said, UFOs and aliens and this type of thing. But the wild part about it is they just fixed it on Google Maps about 2 months ago, and now you can't see it at all anymore. It's kind of covered by this big lump, which is strange that you would cover it like that after everybody knows. But anyway,
Mike, strange, you're strange, and everything in this world is strange. But if you had a bunch of money and you had to control the power of you having a bunch of money, wouldn't you change the history to ensure you kept that money?
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, for obvious reasons, they're changing it so that they can kind of whitewash it from history. That's exactly the point, right? But what's actually there becomes the question. Is it a military base? Is it something a little more anomalous than that? Who really knows? And that becomes the question here. But this is part of this because this was in the news recently, the last couple of months, like I said. And so suddenly this thing that we've all known about, that's been in, people that have been in UFOs for a long time, everybody knew about this in the weird circles, right? But now suddenly this has been sort of corrected, redacted for history, and it's no longer available for and visible on Google Maps. But I just wanted to point that out. But yeah, what else you got? Go ahead.
Well, isn't it ironic, all us little tinfoil hat nerds, all of a sudden, like, everybody wants to know what we know?
Maybe. I mean, is that what's happening? Maybe.
Well, I mean, think about it. Like, I warned, I'll keep it YouTube based because I asked to take it off it, but I warned about a certain thing, like the DARPA dog. Remember that? The DARPA dog, I warned about it, and then all of a sudden we had something happen a couple days, well, actually less than 24 hours ago, where it's like, hey, I'm going to throw a punch. And it's going to take like 3 hours to get to you. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, well, we have to escalate. There is a sick bunch of people in this world that control the money and power. And they are very, very upset. People like me and you. And a lot more people are waking up to what's really going on. But I'll leave it there. And I will step back and say, hey, what's your next conversation or question you want to ask about? And I'll leave the DARPA dog alone.
Just back to Leviathan. If you got anything regarding that, I mean, I'm with you in that, and I said this last night. We kind of did a little bit of a pop-up show to test some of the new technology that I got cooking here. But I said that last night. These control mechanisms and these individuals are freaking out a little bit because the internet is bringing people together, including the tinfoil hat nerds and all the rest of the stuff as you described. And a lot of these theories we're seeing again. You know, the new joke is that what's the difference between, a conspiracy theory and reality? Well, these days about 6 months, because it seems to be fast and furious. This stuff is basically coming true. And I know it's a little bit of cherry picking because you can look at it the other way too and be like, oh, come on, they're right like 10 times out of 10 million or something. Sure, fine, whatever. But it is funny that some of the stuff that the media like really triples down on and swears it's not a thing, eventually it comes out that it's a thing. So anyway, you were spot on. You were on the phone line, so I can't let you sit there for some other reasons.
I do have one last thought.
Okay, go ahead.
Ever since the S6, iPhone 6, every single phone had a computer chip that had a battery power attached to it. Your phone could be dead, i.e. no charging to it, for 3 months, and they could still track your phone. That is from the military inside, and that's from the military knowledge I have. Every now and then I chime in, kind of like what's there. The S6, look when the S6 dropped. How many years ago was that? The S6 Samsung or the i6 iPhone? That was what, 10, 12 years ago?
I have no idea.
Look it up. Somebody in your chat probably would. But since then, even if your phone was dead, they can track exactly where you were. That's from the dark side of what true military could do. Okay. I love you. Well, thank you for taking my call, brother. And go back to your show, and I'll listen. And if nobody wants to call in, I'll chime back into whatever you're talking about.
You're the best. Appreciate the call. Have a great night, my man.
Good night, brother.
Take care. That's Jay Winch in Missouri. You know him, you love him, a good friend for a long time, and light it on fire to start. A lot of ways to look at this. We're talking about the ocean, of course, but this weird stuff. Like I said, rogue waves are much more common than anyone suspected. And if you read it to the bottom of the article here, it is even chilling how often these things are happening. It's they used to think that it was a myth, right? A maritime myth of the old days and old ways. And then it turns out that we caught that first one in 95 and we're like, oh crap, where did this thing come from? Caught it on satellites or whatever, at least from what we're told, right? It's not, quote, scientifically or whatever. But then now they go out and they're looking for them, and now they're finding them every damn place. And they're, again, different sizes. Again, pretty wild stuff to consider. But anyway, so that's what's on deck tonight. Thank you for the call, Jay Winch. We got Matthew in Colorado coming up as well. We're going to take a quick break before that so I can say hi to the chat and whatnot. But what do you know about this? Does it seem like there's a confluence of oceanic type stuff in the news cycles? Or is it just me? It could just be me. That's okay. Like I said, no truth to be found here, just ideas and extrapolations of, a zeitgeist that may or may not exist. You tell me. Love to hear what's on your mind tonight as we get into this. But answers, few, questions, many, and that's exactly what this has always been about. But what do you know? We're talking not just UFOs, the USOs, as they say, unidentified submerged objects, but also this enigma of the deep, the ancient rituals to summon the creature below the waves. What does it mean? Is it just sort of that terror in our hearts of the ocean depths, which to me is, the ocean is terrifying, or is it something else? And is there something happening with these rogue waves, the stories of the aliens living under the waves? And let's say this, what odds do you give that there are, let's say, enigmas as unyet discovered and wilder than we could ever dream? Real now, somewhere between 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. More Trouble Wines coming up. Don't go anywhere. We got Matthew in Colorado and your calls as well. Be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rockfin, Rumble, Twitter, and Twitch. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds radio network, that is KUAP Digital Broadcasting. Tonight we're talking about the Enigma of the Deep. Now, all kinds of stories coming out about the ocean. Not just the UFOs, USOs, as they've said, are somewhere down below spying on us, having alien bases. Rogue waves are much more common than anyone suspected. They're hiding that Malibu anomaly on Google Maps. Basically, look, what the hell's going on down there? Is it more wild than we ever considered, or is this just normal news cycles and an overactive imagination picking out things that may or may not be anything at all? And of course, what is your theory on the alien aspect? Meaning, a lot of people, ancient astronaut theorists, say yes regarding specifically an alien presence or something underneath the oceans. Let's even take away the alien aspect and call it a breakaway civilization of sorts. What would you give it odds-wise, greater or less than 50% that there is something down there that would shock the hell out of the normie republic if they actually discovered it? We actually found it out and it actually made its way to the mainstream zeitgeist, let's say. Atlantis, the new Atlantis. Damn, that's what I should have called this, the new Atlantis. Anyway, love to hear your thoughts on this. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show just like this. Matt in Colorado. What's up, my man? How are you doing tonight? And go right ahead.
Well, I'm doing good. It's interesting. I think it was yesterday, I saw the thing you were talking about and showed the video of the big black blob heading up towards the southern part of Africa, and it's interesting. I think it was first spotted on April 9th, the like day after the eclipse, and it's been on whatever that site is that tracks the ocean waves and weather and stuff like that. It's actually been tracking it, coming up from Antarctica all the way to South Africa for days, right? So they've been watching it for days. And I at first I was like, what? I mean, there's so much fake stuff on the internet, and is this somebody spoofing, or is this AI stuff or whatever? But it actually, I've seen multiple sources of it, and it seems to be a thing. And I can also understand it could be like a glitch in their system, or they're getting bad readings or something like that. But you would think after like 3 or 4 days they would have like fixed it. they
right. Control Alt Delete, reboot your damn system, right? Fix the damn thing.
Right. And so the fact that they were like pretty accurately tracking it, and it went on for days and days and days. And I tried to do a little research real quick at the top of the show and see if, because right now it's supposed to be like halfway up the coast of Africa, or, I heard you say it disappeared or vanished suddenly, but I was like, same thing you were thinking. I was like, well, because I was reading at first 75-foot waves, then 85-foot waves. And I'm like, well, these got to be smashed into Africa by now, so this should be a big news story. I should be able to
exactly
research it and pick it up, but I couldn't find anything. But I found some from like big waves smashing into Africa, but it was like a year ago or something. But so more research needs to be done on that. But it is a weird story. And it is also interesting that the eclipse does affect the tides and does affect the ocean. And it's typically at about a 90-degree angle from the path of the eclipse. And if you look at the path of the eclipse, that would put it, 90 degrees away, would basically be like coming up from Antarctica to Africa. So I don't know if there's any truth to that story, but it is a weird story. It is a weird story.
Exactly right. Which, like I said, it dawned on me when I finally saw this Rogue Waves one, where I was like, okay, wait, we got a lot of ocean stuff happening. Am I dreaming here, or are you noticing this too?
Yeah, and also no, and And it does seem to be coming up like on the news feeds and Zeitgeist, because I don't know if it was 2 days ago or something. And I just happened to catch, I had heard about it before, but I don't know if it's a new one or a different one where this, giant rogue wave smashed in front of this, military base that's, right on the beach. And this giant rogue wave smashed in, and I mean that wave came in and hit the side of the building and the front doors with this like 5 foot high wave going up the doors. So I mean it rolled all the way up the beach and into slamming into the buildings and stuff like that. There have been a lot of these rogue waves that, you know, Michael, I'm 57 years old, but I don't remember hearing all these stories about these huge, massive rogue waves just slamming into stuff out of nowhere. It didn't used to be a thing.
Yeah, well, it is an old sailor's maritime tale that where you're supposed to be terrified of the ocean because of the wrath of Poseidon and things like this, right? The Davy Jones's locker, that whole bit. We've talked about that in the past as well. But and even to the point where it's such an old wives' tale that recent science in the last 100 years or so says no, this is not real. There's no truth to this. But now suddenly it's like, oh, maybe there is, and maybe they're everywhere. Wouldn't you know?
Well, there's definitely rogue waves. I mean, if you just looking at the science of it, when you do the summation of waves, when they combine together, they'll get bigger. And but I wanted to go to the USO topic, and there's a fascinating story that I heard, and it was told by a guy. He was kind of a UFO expert, had written some books and stuff like that. And I apologize, I don't remember the name, but somewhat of a notorious or expert ufologist kind of guy, right? So mainstream in that sort of circle, which doesn't mean it's true, of course, which probably makes it suspicious. But anyways, he told this story, one of the most fascinating stories. So it's a supposedly true story. And there was this young gal. She was like 20 years old, 21 years old, something like that, 18 to 22. And was on the coast of Africa. And she goes down to the beach just to go chill out at the beach. And it's a, small beach and not a lot of people around. She goes down there by herself and, had told her parents, I'm going to the beach. And she frickin' disappeared and didn't come back and didn't come back and didn't come back. And so she disappeared for like 2 years, 2 to 3 years. And they thought she had been killed or kidnapped or whatever happened. They didn't know, the family, right? And then eventually one day, after like 2.5 years, she comes walking back in the door home again. And they were like, where the heck were you? And she didn't want to talk about it. And it took months after she was home and them kind of prodding her a little bit and stuff. And at first they were like, oh, did you get kidnapped? And that was the first thing she said. She said, yeah, I got kidnapped. And then but it takes a long time. It actually takes a couple years before she finally confides, only with her family, the story that she was standing by the beach and basically this USO comes up out of the water and these beings, we'll call it, basically humanoid beings, come out and approached her. And they laid it on her that they had, basically this underwater civilization, and they wanted to take her down there. It was, voluntary. She didn't have to go with them, but go down there and stay for a couple of years. And she's like, "Oh, what do I get out of this idea?" And and she's and they told her that, well, we have amazing technology. We're very advanced. We have all this healing stuff. You'll be in perfect health and etc. So she agrees to this deal. This is just how the story goes, supposedly true story. She agrees to this deal and gets on this USO and goes down, and they have this whole underwater, not only just base, but this whole underwater city. And there's and these are, they're not like slee stacks or the kind of uh, the aliens that are like grays, and they're not like lizard people or anything. They're basically humanoids. Okay.
And we're basically talking Atlantis of some sort, right? Something to that effect is where this is headed, right?
Right. It's like you were saying. It's like when you said, 10 minutes ago, it doesn't have to be necessarily alien. It could be like prehistory advanced civilizations that are earthlings or something along that line. That's more what we're talking about, right? Okay. So the reason they take her down there is for a breeding program, because they need, they need more females and fresh genetic blood. And so the agreement and the deal she makes and what they do is that basically they keep her for 2 years, and she breeds and pops out 2 children, which remain there, and then they return her. And then from this guy who's telling the story, and ufologist guy that wrote the book, after he got onto that story, he started investigating, and he found out that there's these stories, hundreds of stories and legends all across the coast of Africa of people being basically taken into the sea by the sea people. And in fact, they even have a name for them that goes back like hundreds of years, that these sea people, they have a name for them, and the legends that they would take these young women away. And then he keeps researching and finds out that the same thing happens all over the coast of South America. And they have legends going back, and they have their own name in their own language, for these same USO underwater civilization, early advanced human Atlantean dudes. And then he keeps researching, and he finds out it's happened on even more continents than that. And so the idea being, there may be, this whole advanced underwater civilization in USOs that, maybe they're not from, Zeta Reticula or Proxima Centauri. Maybe they, been on Earth for, 500,000 or a million or 2 million years. And so and when you talk about off of California and Catalina Island, and perhaps the underwater bases there and the USO bases there, and there was that gal that I'm sorry, I can't remember her name, but she's made a lot of great documentaries, and they took the whole film crew out there to basically Catalina Island, and they were intentionally investigating where the military were having these encounters there. And the fishermen off there, they're like, "Oh yeah, we see these underwater lights glowing and everything like that. We'll take you out there. We'll show them to you." and they filmed a bunch of stuff like that. They stayed out there for 10 days, took a ton of instruments out there, and got some good film footage of stuff. And then you have military reports of the UFOs flying into the water. They even have footage of one where it, flies. It's going, fast, flies right into the water, doesn't slow down a bit, and flies for 2 miles under the water, that they were tracking its speed at like 800 miles an hour under the water. And then you've got footage of in Mexico where they go up out of and down into volcanoes, and so obviously they have some sort of force field or bubble or whatever that not only protects them from, not only is it anti-gravity, but they're in somewhat of their own creating a warping of space around them, or a plasma ball around them, that it doesn't matter where they go. They can go into a volcano, they can go down through the water, they can go to the depths of the ocean. Nothing affects them.
Yeah,
right?
it's very Neptune, Poseidon. It's very a kingdom at the bottom of the sea type stuff. And these are the same stories that have been resurfacing forever, including back in modern times with ufology. They're talking about these things as as you said, maybe breakaway civilizations or whatnot. But it definitely goes back to the Greeks and beyond, sort of just that the enigma of the sea and the terror that it kind of evokes in you. If we've talked about this before, you and I specifically as well. But there's something to the ocean that's just unsettling to people. It's just not hospitable to human life, and so it is sort of this massive terror, almost like the void of space. If you don't have a vessel, a ship, then you're screwed. You're fish out of water, right? It's terrible.
Yeah, for sure. And I've been scuba diving off of Catalina Island. I did a liveaboard for 6 days and went scuba diving. I got my advanced certification out there, and it was wild. The kelp forest and the seals and everything like that. But to do my advanced, we had to do night diving, and not only night diving but underwater navigation at night. And let me tell you, it was a little scary, buddy. It was a little scary. 60 feet down in, off Catalina Island at night, and having to navigate a course and find your way back to the anchor line.
Shark infested waters and the whole bit. Yep. Yep. Yeah, 100%.
But
so, okay. So go ahead, finish what you got. And then I got a question for you.
Yeah. So you asked the question, 50-50 bet. My 50% is I think there's some mysterious stuff going on in the ocean, and I don't know if it's ancient civilizations or aliens or both or something, but I'm gonna go with 51%. Ancient astronaut theorist. I'm going to say.
I need that clip so I can play it. Ancient astronaut theorists say yes. Yeah. Okay. So Matt Code today says 51% yes, and and this is what I mean. These are ancient stories that resurface, and we're dealing with them again and again and again. And I think it is built into us. It's one of those things. Back to the Joseph Campbell archetype or Carl Jung archetypes. Joseph Campbell. This bit, right? Like we are still in these cycles, fear cycles, even of these places that we shouldn't be afraid of anymore, or at least conceptually shouldn't be afraid of them anymore. But anyway, yeah. So that was my question. I actually wanted to ask you the 50-50 question, but you beat me to the punch. So you're saying coin flip at 51? Yes, there's going to be something weird down there that we find that's going to scare the bejesus out of us.
Yeah, I do. I think there's. If you think about ancient civilizations and you think about ones that are probably older than, Homo sapiens sapiens, or at least contemporaneous with. And if you think about, we've probably been through like 5 different epochs of mass extinction events and cataclysms, over, the last, I'm just going to go a little big and say million years. The two places where you would seek refuge from, stuff hailing down and stuff going disastrously wrong. The first place is underground. That's kind of an easy one, and we've found places where there's whole underground cities that were 10,000, 12,000 years old that are like, apparently they built them to like be able to get below the surface when stuff was going to hit the fan. But below ground, that's a pretty, like today, people build bomb shelters, and below ground's a pretty good place to be. But the other one, number two, is in the ocean, and if you've got a underwater city and complex or crafts or ability to survive down there, that's even safer than underground. And so I think if there were these ancient civilizations, and I would say there's probably been several of them, probably some of them went underground, and the lizard dudes, and some of them went under the water. And if I'm going to drink some maybe juice and think about that kind of stuff, I think that's reasonable, and I think that eventually we get evidence of it. Somehow things get spotted. Sometimes, like maybe the story I told about the young girl in Africa, and then all these legends, and somehow enough eyewitnesses and enough stories and enough things come out that what I'm sure, those races, they don't want us to know about them. They don't want to have anything to do with us. I mean, we're violent, crazy people, and they're just chilling out, and they want to keep themselves secret and hidden. But eventually, the word gets out. So that's probably my final thought. Except one final thought.
Okay, one final thought. Footnote. Go ahead, sir.
Footnote. Go to troubledminds.org and buy Mike a cup of coffee.
Thank you. That's very nice. Appreciate that footnote. You're the best. Great stuff as always. Appreciate you, and thanks for the call. You have a great night.
Okay, have a good night. You're the best.
You are the best. That's Matthew in Colorado. You know him, you love him, good friend for a long time. Go buy his book. 80% off for Troubled Minds listeners, troubledminds.org/friends. It says Matthew's book here. Coupon code is right there on that page, and go check it out. He's got some other stuff as well if you want to pick his brain and the things he's written down and put to paper, and hopefully for posterity for a very long time. Let's say 10,000 years from now, maybe people will be reading Matt's book and going, damn, this guy knew his shiz. Go check it out. Link's going to be down there, troubledminds.org/friends. We're talking about the ocean tonight, but not just, not the ocean itself. Let's say as normies would expect it, but rogue waves, UFOs, the Enigma, the deep is what I'm calling this. But it started with this article today that kind of cemented these ideas. Rogue waves in the ocean are much more common than anyone suspected. A couple things. 2 months ago, we also had this, the Malibu anomaly, or whatever it's called. Google Maps and Earth have removed the ocean anomaly structure off the coast of Malibu. Okay, it used to have what appeared to be pillars or something to this effect, but now it looks like it's been covered up. All right, and the other weird thing that popped is just recently we've got this mystery as underwater anomaly larger than Texas is spotted off the African coast. And I know probably some of you have seen this if you follow social media. And look, it might be a sensor problem, all kinds of things here, but it all culminated to me, this ocean stuff with this rogue waves are more common than we ever dreamed they would be. So yeah, batten down the hatches because you never know what comes next. Love to hear your thoughts on this. And again, so the question is, if you're coin flipping 5149, do you think that there's going to be some sort of either alien stuff, Atlantis style breakaway civilization stuff, or maybe even a modern breakaway civilization living underwater in some, let's say, spooky place that would scare the hell out of us if we ever found it. And as Matthew described there, if they were there, they'd just be chilling, watching us destroy the planet, laughing at us, because the oceans will persist. The oceans, even in the case of a catastrophic war, still the oceans are going to do their thing, right? And if they're all the way down there, they're pretty much insulated in a lot of ways. Anyway, do you think it's too much woo for you? And as you know, everybody relax. No truth to be found here, just ideas. It's a philosophical construct, and that's that. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show just like this. Let's go to Kelly in Colorado. What's up, my man? You're on Troubled Minds. How are you? Go right ahead.
Good evening, Mike. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. What do you know about this? Did you see the anomaly stuff? Take it wherever you like, but you can answer that or go right ahead with whatever you got.
First off, I'll answer that. Yes, it was kind of weird, interesting, because it kind of went underneath my radar until my stepbrother was talking about it. Yeah, you guys see that weird anomaly that was off of Africa? And so that's when I had to dig it up. But yeah, it's pretty interesting.
It's pretty big. I'll give it that. I mean, damn.
Yeah. Yeah. So being a sailor and being on many oceans, I'm telling you, there's some things that could be still alive down there. You know what I mean? Because what's interesting too is what I find is like, you find those pictures of the guys. This one guy, he was a fisherman, right? And he hooked something, and he reeled it in, and it was a great white shark. But the shark that he reeled in, the head of it, was probably like let's say about a 30-foot shark. But this thing was like something bit it, just ate it like a snack. Or just chunks that even like a bigger, like a 40-foot shark, and it looked like someone just ate part of that thing off, So for me, and looking at, like, I posted a lot of some stuff on Discord where they showed old maps. If you go to old sailing maps, and there's some representations of like leviathans and the kraken. I mean, these things are size of like islands and stuff, that they have portrayed on there. I mean, there's one on there that kind of looks like it's maybe around Mexico, Baja California. That's what it kind of looked like to me, and it shows like a kraken. And that's the other thing. Speaking of the kraken, that type of stuff, like a creature was like a squid or a giant squid or an octopus, type creature. And there's a story also, I posted part of it. There's an old story of it came out in the 1990s, sometime like right around there. But I remember the story when it first popped, like there was some Russian scientists that were down in Antarctica. They were drilling down into the ice, and they found this lake at the very bottom. And the story goes is that because it was kind of weird, it was like actually out of the people talked to, some under some whistleblower or something. But that's how the story first came out. And it was talking about this, the Russians, they drilled down about 12,366 feet, and they found this thing, and they called it an organism 46B. Right, and it was supposed to be 14-legged. It was black, but it could also, you've seen squid change its shape almost kind of like to look something else because it has no bones or nothing in it, So that would be the most believable creature, because if you look at that, what was interesting to me was how it was growing in size. The closer it was getting to Africa, The only thing that could be doing that, if it was a creature, would be something that could spread itself out, that needs like some sea creatures where they have to spread themselves out to gather like plankton or small fish and then swallow it. You know what I mean? Like it was feeding something that could be, that if it was growing that big, it was spreading itself out to feed. And most schools are run along, the reef down there in the ocean. So they're usually, that's where their feeding's at before they, head out into deep oceans. But that'd be the place to go. If if this thing woke up from the Antarctica, if this is true, this, the story where it came from, which they do have video of it, and then it appeared, and it just something had to wake up. Now it's, it was looking for something to feed, so that would be the place to go. And if it was coming from Antarctica and it was an ancient creature like that, and if obviously, it knows, it kind of remembers the feeding grounds. And what's interesting, if you look at those maps, that's where it's at. They're usually by shoreline. Again, these leviathans or these giant creatures type thing. And so there's, I also posted a thing down in there, a video where it showed like those oil rigs. You see those big giant oil rigs, they got cameras now, they have to, look for inspection, but they're finding weird creatures down there. Like this one I posted on there, it looks just like, I don't know, just like a flat sheet, it's almost see-through, it's brownish color, but it spreads itself out to it. It was massive, but when it goes away, it like shrinks really fast, and then it's like really small, and then boom, it's gone. So who knows? Like, could it be this organism 46B? Like maybe that was a small, like, I don't know, a small creature, maybe like a baby, and then the bigger one finally woke up. I mean, you never know, because these oceans, like I said, I've been on many oceans, and there's times where it seemed like we were out there for months, and there was nothing but ocean. You know what I mean? Yeah, I know we were doing a lot of circles, but man, I mean, when we were going straight to the Gulf, we were doing straight shots, and it was still taking us about, full bore, probably like a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, I think. We were doing straight shots to the Gulf, because there was no, I think we stopped in Hawaii, and then we did straight shots. But like said, so you got some, there could be stuff like that roaming around, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
who really knows what we're talking about?
Yeah, that's the thing. So the oceans are massive, and we're still finding new organisms down there all the time, specifically that we can't detect, right? We can't see them because they have like these powers of camouflage. They're, maybe even transparent in some ways. So you literally cannot see them unless you accidentally catch them in a net type stuff. So imagine all the ones that are just a little bit too deep for nets, and how deep that thing goes, man. There's got to be an unbelievable amount of wild stuff to way down there that we just have overlooked. And that's the wild part about the ocean, is it's very alien, because it is, as I said when I was talking to Matthew there, that it is inhospitable to life. Night Stalker said that as well in the past, and pointed out that you're out there on a boat all by yourself, kind of drifting out to sea. There's fewer, more terrifying places to be. I'd almost rather be in space, right? At least it's over with instantly. But I mean, you're going to roast in the sun with no drinkable water, like water as far as the eye can see, but not a drop to drink. I mean, talk about terrifying, being roasted in the sun like that. Dear God, no, thank you.
Yeah, that's like just kind of like what you would say, like it's like a desert of ocean, because you can't drink the water. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it's kind of like the frozen, Antarctica. It's a lot of snow there, but it's not really, you know what I mean? You can't survive down there really, unless you know what the hell you're doing. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. To me, it could be a creature, because and it's so weird that the crazy part is the waves. So like this thing grew in size to, it's almost looked like this, almost had size of half of Africa or something, the whole horn it covered. So it was so big, the size of it on the maps. Then it disappears, like it went down into the ocean, and then next you know, you got 80-foot waves. That's what happens if a creature, something like a big ass kaiju, like a Godzilla or something. But that's what it looks like, something like that big. That's kind of. That's why I didn't ever jump in the ocean, man. Like, I was like, they would do swim calls. Right, and I'd be like, they jump off about the middle of the boat, and then you swim to the back, and then But they would have all their guards, they'd be on rib boats out there, and they would have like M16s and stuff, and try, like keep, like, if there was a shark that came up, whatever. But I ain't jumping in the ocean, not in the middle of nowhere. No,
hell no, hell no, man. Yeah, there's so many people have been lost at sea. Even with big ships like that and rescue missions looking for them and stuff. No thanks. Absolutely no thanks. Yeah. So okay, I want to say too that I'm not suggesting this massive thing is a monster. I just want to make that clear. I see some of the chat saying this. I'm not saying that. Okay. I'm saying that this could be just an anomaly on a glitch in their system or something, right? I don't know. I don't really know, but it opens up a larger conversation of, okay, so what the hell's really down there? Not beneath this. I mean, you can call this whatever you want. I'm just saying that the ocean's a deep and scary place. And don't forget, mind you, that Lovecraft wrote that that's where Cthulhu resides, right? He's waiting down there somewhere to wake up one day, and maybe he's waking up. Maybe that's what's going on. There you go. Now I said it. Now I said it. See, at least with some context. Maybe this is just a bad fever dream. Go ahead, sir. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, and look at the theory on that one too, Cthulhu, right? It's like a squid. You know what I mean? These weird. I mean, and sailors, you know, these men, these daring men back in the day were, you know, jumping on these boats, these sailboats, and, you know, cruising around the planet. Yes, they're moving pretty good. You know, it depends on the wind, but at the same time, there's times that, you know, you're just kind of like floating around, and you're gonna see stuff out there. And don't get me wrong, man. Like sometimes I would sit out there just, you know, like when we were on straight cruise, straight shots, right? So there was no aircraft launching or nothing. You could go out there and, you know, they let you roam around, just check shit out, you know? So when I was doing that, I mean, yeah, I'd spot all kinds of like whales and stuff, you know, dolphins, like packs of dolphins. And some of these dolphin herds, you know, like those pods like that, those things were, I mean, they were massive, you know, I'm talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dolphins just coming up out of the water like that. And I was like, I didn't know they ran that deep, you know. But, you know, then you had pods of whales, you know, there'd be like 4 or 5 of them out there. But, you know, and then islands would just be like popping up out of nowhere, you know, just small ones. I'm talking little, I mean, they're not really anything that, like a desert, you know, island, you know, just what it looked like. They're just like coming up out of nowhere, you know, and sometimes you would see, there was some stuff I would see out there, and you know, I don't have binoculars at the time, you know, but I remember like after that, I was bringing them all the time, but on my first one, because I did 4 deployments, but so some of the stuff though, I looked like a whale. I don't know what it could have been, you know what I mean? I mean, you can't really, we're flying by and that thing's in a distance set away, so you never, I mean, who knows what's down there, you know, like if we're talking other civilizations, you know, what's interesting too is like, you know, the mermaid, the whole, you know, different stuff like that. That's what you find on all those ancient maps too. That's what's another interesting thing. A lot of people trying to look for, you know, other stuff, but like, you know, since I'm a sailor, that's the stuff that interests me. You know, that the old stories of like these things getting dragged down, you know, and then you find like not only, let's talk about not airplanes missing out of the air, but we're talking like ships that would just disappear. You know what I mean? And gone, you know, just, and they can't find them. You know, they had one area and one that found, you know, they're in a certain area direction in some stuff. But other than that, you know, man, it's just, I don't know. There could be, I don't know, man. I'd say it's a creature. That's what my theory would be on this one. Not to drink no maybe juice on it, but that's what it looks like to me, you know.
Yeah. Here's another weird thing too. I was watching. Here's one of the weird things that I didn't mention. So usually I just put on some random TV show for noise, and one of them was it's on Discovery Channel or something. It's like if it has UFO in it, I'll just throw it on, see what they're talking about. And usually it's an old show. I mean, they don't really have a ton of new stuff, unless it gets a lot of press in the UFO media, right? Which I do kind of pay attention to. But I put on the UFO show, and they were talking about underwater UFOs. I was like, oh, that's weird. So then I swapped it and put it on like some nature show. I can't remember what it was, different channel. And they had killer whales, and they showed them hunting seals, and they would have 3 or 4 of them in these generational pods, they call it, where they would come underneath the floating ice with the seal on top and knock this massive wave over the top and literally knock the seal off and then eat the seal, right? And then it's game on. The seal's got to try and get back up on the ice. So these things are smart enough to know, hey, we know you're up there. We're going to just move our big bodies through the water and cast this huge wave on you, and good luck. We'll see you when you fall off, right? And that's the type of thing that, again, there's sort of the missing link here that I didn't describe when we started, is everything I'm seeing is like the ocean, and the terrifying depths and all this stuff. And then I found this rogue waves one, and I was like, what the hell? Being in the Navy, by the way, did you ever hear anything about rogue waves in that aspect, where they were a problem to massive aircraft carriers or whatever you were on?
Oh yeah. Those happen all the time, especially like, okay, so there was one time we was in the Indian Ocean. We were heading back out of the Gulf, and we were heading back home. And at the time there was not a hurricane, but they call them something else on the opposite side, but they would say it was a hurricane, right? So a typhoon. So we was in a typhoon. Our strike group that was with us, they're a little bit, that's what they call the small boys. The smaller, I never been on one of those, but I was always on an aircraft carrier. That's because that's where my maintenance was at. But the small boys, we as an aircraft carrier, we were getting tossed around. Like, it tossed around. We're still a little toy in a big ocean, but we were getting tossed around like it was like, I'm talking like the ship was going so sideways that, like, when you hear people say that you could put your feet on the wall and walk on that for a second and then go back on the ground, that's what we were literally doing. Like, there was water splashing inside because, we had the hangar bay doors closed, but you have these ports, that oils and fuels, they would just pour out, directly down into the ocean, right? But you have, or like when you clean it, when we clean it after all the maintenance, you scrub all the stuff down before we, get back into the, down into the ocean. But the water was splashing so much that, like, it was flooding the hangar bays. It was probably like 1.5 feet, almost 2 feet at some time, and everybody was in there with brooms, trying to get. They cracked one of the doors open, trying to get all that water out of there. I mean, everybody was. Anybody was anybody. Didn't matter if you were part of the part of the ship or not. Your maintenance, you were grabbing brooms, man, and helping, try to get that water out. So those guys, our strike groups, we left them behind probably like a week and a half. We had to wait around. As soon as we came out of that storm, we had to wait around for those guys but yeah, sometimes these rogue waves, they're, you have a procession of like ups and downs, but sometimes you get one that hits you sideways. And when that thing hits you, oh man, we had one that hit like that. I felt like, what it felt like or sounded like? A whale just came super speed and slammed the side of the ocean, the side of the ship, and heard like a dong. That's what it sounded like, and the whole ship just tipped. That's where, I said it kind of like we went a little bit sideways and like tipped the ship, and I was like literally on the wall walking and just down on the floor.
That's wild. Is the small boys, as you say, is that what they're called, the small boys?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're like destroyers and cruisers. They call them small boys.
Yeah. Is it a threat? Do we ever lose them to a rogue wave? Do we lose the smaller ships?
Oh yeah.
Really?
We have lost ships like that, or we've had actually, because they have masts, right? The mast on the top, they call it still the mast, but it's metal, right? So it's like a radars and shit on it. But like once they're at a certain degree, like 15 degrees, I think, or something, where the ship is listing. If it hits a certain degree, that thing is built to snap, because it's pretty heavy. It's got like a lot of stuff on there, so it's built to snap in half, so the ship doesn't fall all the way over. And we've had tons of our ships like that, where those things are snapped in half. You lose it, and then they have to go pull and port with some new radar systems and stuff on it. But they're built like that, so yeah. I mean, I've talked to some guys that were been on those ships. Oh my god, dude! I don't know. Being on one of those, and on an aircraft carrier, it's a little bit more. It's a little bit more, not so much you can feel the weight, but like I said, it's the ocean, and it's still gonna toss. I mean, it doesn't matter how big a ship it is; it's gonna toss you around like a little toy. But yeah, those guys, man, they said, "Holy cow!" Like, I don't know, man. That would be hard to be on one of those. I'm just telling you. You could get used to it, yes, because you have to, but most of the time. Like the guy he's saying, he puked for like a week straight because you're feeling all the waves on one of those.
Yeah, I'll bet. No thanks. That's the next level of seasickness, man. Like forget that. Like once you get out, never set foot on a boat ever again type stuff. Yeah, it's scary, man, and that's why I think this is one of those things where just a confluence of events that kind of the synchromistic might notice here. Again, flattering myself a little bit, but I think maybe there's something to this stuff, but also maybe not. As usual, I don't really know the answers here. It's above my pay grade to spot Cthulhu in the water or something, but it certainly goes all the way back to that primordial terror of the deep, and it's still with us today for sure, even on an aircraft carrier as you're describing, which is absolutely wild to me. What else you got, my man? Go ahead.
Yeah. Just for one, I was kind of going off on some civilizations underwater, but like I said, I believe that too. Like being out in the ocean, and me believing and seeing all the stuff that I have seen through my life, but I look at the ocean when I was out there, and I was like, man, there could be something out here. There could be UFOs the size of cities coming out of the ocean, in the middle of the ocean, and then going straight up to to space, and no one would see it because that's how massive it is. You're like the Pacific Ocean. If you turn on the globe and that's like we're the place with no land, and it's just water. I'm talking for months. Like if you're out there, that's why everybody, that's an aircraft carrier could do it because it runs off the nuclear power. But if you were like on a regular boat, you're gonna have to be staying in shipping lanes. That's kind of like about 100 nautical miles off the coast. This is what they call shipping lanes, and that's where all the shipping, the ships, because they have to port sometimes. You're trying to go straight across the Pacific Ocean, straight like that. You know what I mean? Imagine trying to do that. You didn't know any better, and you're trying to do that in a sailboat. You're gonna, man.
We're told they did it. They did it in reed boats from Africa to South America in a reed boat.
Yeah. You know who was a good sailor too? Was a lot of Egyptians and Chinese had some awesome ships too. You know who else was? Even their smaller boats, but those things could, it was the Vikings. They did a lot of navigational and sailing. There's actually proof that they were here long time ago. We're not even talking, the guy who got lost and thinks he was in India. You know what I mean? But if go back down into civilizations, right? So you have ancient, in Sumerian texts, right? You have some they have the depictions of these guys that are swimming underwater. They were holding these big air bags, right? And they had flippers on. It's a sketched out drawing, but you could see it like they were underwater. And interesting is one of the brothers in Enki, he was Lord of Waters, and he's always talking about they put on their fish suit. That's what it looks like a fish are sitting on. That the hat. You know what I mean? You see some of the drawings on them, and they're wearing it looks like a fish. The head on top of his head, and he's it's what they call the fish suit. So the fish suit would be like a swimming apparatus where they would get. He lived under. He was Lord of Waters. So to me, that's if there's civilizations, it's underwater. They're guaranteed it because those things can go in and out. It's where your USOs and stuff like that. I just ran across one where it was another oil tanker and they were filming this fish. Right, it was eating or something, and next out of the background comes this big silver thing flying right past the camera, and they slowed it down in slow motion, and it looked like a shard of metal, real thin, pointed at one end, and then pointed it went wide, and then pointed at the other end. And it was a silver shape. And I don't know if it was a fish. I've never seen no fish like that, but this thing flew by the camera it was crazy looking. But you hear people talk about mermaids and stuff like that. I believe that could be true too. Back in the day, who knows? There's a lot of weird stuff that's drawings you find down into, in Africa, where they look like they were battling for fishing rights. Some waters and stuff. I don't know if those. You see them on. I would like to see somebody go down and live take, have video and all that stuff with it. Some pictures, they're just pictures. You can never know where they get them from, but how they were made, but that's the stories. And again, to me, just to finish up too, I think, in my belief, I think that was an animal. That was a creature of some kind. That's what I believe. Especially if the waves that hit those weren't small waves. Those things hit the side of those towns, and like, man, it was almost like a tsunami,
Yeah, definitely wild stuff. So if you're putting money down 5149, you're definitely saying that there's probably gonna be something down there that would shock the hell out of us, given all the exploration tools in the cosmos to find what's at the bottom of the ocean. You think there's something down there that'll scare the hell out of us?
Oh yeah, there is. I know there is. I've been out there. I don't know. I'm not saying I've seen something that's down in the water like that, but I know if there was a creature, it could survive down there, because this planet is mostly water anyway. And if it's a sea creature, it's gonna, there's plenty of stuff to feed out there. So, and it can stay away. People will never see it until it pops up and wants to be seen. But yeah, the size of that thing looks like a kaiju to me. So who knows, man? Something's gonna call up out of the water.
Here we go.
Take down ships, It's weird.
We got what is it? Godzilla versus King Kong versus Cthulhu, the battle royale. Here we go.
Yeah, that's a possibility. That's what I would say. My possibility is leaning to more that was a creature of some kind, because those anomalies like that, they just don't they have sometimes that pops up like that on some of those screens. Those on some of those radar systems, they have they can tell when they have that blue or the green or red algae blooms. Those things will kind of pop up like that. But this was nothing like that. They directly. It was seen come up from the south, and it was smaller, but good size. This thing was, that's what I'm saying. The size of it looks like it was, you're looking at an octopus, imagine that, like how streamlined it is. And then once it pushes how it swims, it's got to open up and then, squeeze, push the water away from it again, and it goes down to the streamline. But when it's ready to feed, it's got to reach out that's more like a squid, kind of reaches his legs out and suck everything all into his jaws. Now, if that's the case, and if you look at all these old maps, that's, I don't look at some of that stuff, and everybody thinks to call it myth. These people these historians or what they want to call themselves, and they're looking at it like, oh, that's just myth. You know what I mean? Like the Bellamese, those were seen all over the maps too. Those people that live in Africa, but they don't have no heads. They have their faces on their chest, or the giants, and then all these sailors talk about these weird creatures, and it always, again, it shows like a squid or an octopus, the kraken, what they called it, it's coming down and eating ships and stuff. If you're sitting bobbing on the water, fish are going to look like, what's going on up there? That's why sharks attack you like that. I'm not getting in the water like that.
Yeah, hell no. I'm with you 100%. Absolutely not. No, thank you. All kinds of wild stuff going on down there, and I don't want any part of it. I'm going to stay right here, sir. Right here, sir. You and me both. No thanks. And you're brave enough to have been put in, volunteered to go join the Navy and been put out to sea. I'm not even brave enough to do that. No thanks. Better you than me, sir. I'm glad you made it back safely and have stories to tell. 100%.
Yeah, man. Look at when I first got in the Navy real quick, I was, I had a hearing like a dog, they said. My hearing was excellent, I suppose. The guy's like, man, you can hear like a dog. And he was like, you want to go into sonar? He goes, they need somebody on subs. I'm like, dude, I told him, dude, I was like, I don't care how much money they want to give me. I said, I'll do 6 months on the water, but I'm not doing 6 months in the water. No.
No, double hell no. No thanks. Yeah. Well said. Yeah, amazing stuff as always. Appreciate the call. If you got anything else on that, you find some links for that, some of the other stuff, just drop it in the Discord, as you know. I appreciate this link you shared there. I'll put it in the description as well, so if people want to check it out. You're amazing. Always a pleasure. You have a fantastic night. Thanks for the call. Tell Michelle we said hi, and we'll talk to you soon, brother.
All right, brother. You have a good night.
Thanks a lot. You too. Kelly in Colorado. You know him, you love him. A good friend for a long time. Always got stuff to say. And not only that, some takes on these things, which is good. And once again, notice he's was in the Navy, spent time at sea, and's got some of those pretty wild stories to tell that would scare the crap out of me for sure. It scares the crap out of me just standing here nowhere near the ocean in Las Vegas, unless, well, maybe there's an ocean in Las Vegas. Of course there's not, but what do they say? I can't remember the term. Anyway, so this is this is why regular people need to talk to each other. We've all been through all kinds of different things, all different jobs, different walks of life, different all kinds of stuff. And so what's just kind of getting together to talk about these things is enlightening, because you don't know. You don't know in this context what's really out there. And Kelly, again, spent some time on the ocean in a big boat. And he says, hey, there's something out there. Don't know what it is, but there's definitely something out there. So what do you think? Lots of things going on tonight. We're talking about, of course, Leviathan rising. I'm calling it rogue waves, UFOs. We got new science suggesting that rogue waves are far more prevalent than we ever expected. A couple months back, we've got the Malibu anomaly, or was covered up on Google Maps. Again, is that an underwater base, or people say aliens, ancient astronaut theorists say yes, right? But then of course we've got this other thing that just happened, which is the underwater anomaly larger than Texas, spotted off the African coast. Lots of water stuff happening. Like I said, maybe I'm dreaming here, but it seems almost as if something is going on. So you tell me. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this if you want to be part of the show tonight. What do you think? What is this massive anomaly the size of Texas down near South Africa? They say it's 100-foot waves on some sensors. The internet's freaking out about it, of course, as they do. The company behind this is saying it's just some sensor anomaly, and they're not actually really detecting anything. What's really going on? Do you think there's something to this? Not just this, the larger context of the ocean? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. More Leviathan rising, rogue waves, UFOs, and the Enigma of the deep. And your calls when we return. Be right back. More Troubled Minds on the way. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rockfin, Rumble, Twitter, and Twitch. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds radio network, that is KUAP Digital Broadcasting. Tonight we're taking your calls as we talk about this ocean stuff. Yeah, that's right. So not only do we have new science that suggests, specifically published today in The Conversation, that rogue waves are much more common than we ever suspected. And don't remember that there was a time when they thought rogue waves was an old wives' tale, a sailor's superstition. And now we're like, well, maybe we were wrong about this. Yeah, so there's just the beginning of this, right? How this fits into the larger context. Because, like I said, what I try to do when I do these shows is I try to notice patterns, okay? And specifically the pattern that was hitting me this weekend over the last 2-3 days has been this ocean stuff. And this is the article that iced it for me. This rogue waves in the ocean are much more common than anyone suspected, published literally today. I was like, well, that's interesting. Literally today. But last week we had this, ocean anomaly, this mysterious underwater anomaly larger than Texas, spotted off African coast. Larger than Texas. Hey, they say nothing's bigger than Texas, right? Even, I think, what are the Texas memes? Some of those Texas memes are hilarious about how big Texas is. And if you ever driven through it east to west or west to east, you're there for days. You're in Texas for literally days. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy how big that is. But now we're talking about this. So I'll read a little bit of this article. This is from Newsweek.com. All these articles are going to be linked down below. So if you're interested in this, then please read up on some of these things. Like I said, just philosophical constructs here, talking about wild things by dark of night. No truth from me, just more ideas. And trying to spot these patterns in the news cycles. And it seems like the ocean is coming up strong. Check this out. So a wave anomaly captured by a weather mapping system sparked a global mystery this week. Dun, dun, dun. This was last week, actually, with some internet sleuths even claiming it proves the existence of aliens. Ancient astronaut theorists say yes. A giant cluster of waves over 80 feet high and spanning 2,000 miles, an area larger than Texas, appeared to move through the ocean off the coast of Africa on April 10th. Today's the 14th, so that's just a few days ago. So maybe not last week, maybe it's the same week. Maybe I'm on to something. Yes, my tinfoil tingling is on point. So in a journey that lasted about 24 hours before it vanished, some online commentators said the formation could only have been created by something moving under the surface of the sea, making it an unidentified submersible object, or the ocean equivalent of a UFO. Now, that's the wild part about this. Like I said, when you go all the way back to the days of yore, as we always talk about, these old sailors' tales are not just about rogue waves and the power of the Poseidon and Neptune, and what lurks beneath is terrifying because it's unknown. Well, certainly that plays still today, because what they say, 80% or more of the ocean is still unmapped, undiscovered, unexplored. Yeah, I mean, that definitely plays here. But when you start looking at these things showing up in these sensors as being these massive, massive objects, it's like, wait a minute now, what the hell's going on down there? And again, maybe it's just a weird sensor problem, right? But anyway, so a graphic of the incident has been shared widely online and sparked numerous jokes and theories. Some suggested the anomaly shows the path of a giant underwater sea creature. Now we're talking, it's some in the Kraken, right? Like the fictional Cthulhu, yes, or a submerged alien craft. Why not, right? Cthulhu's finally waking up. But Newsweek has learned that, in fact, it proves nothing more than the fallibility of data after discovering that the anomaly was caused by a model error. The same models, the same computer models, by the way, at least, model error of all the never mind, I'm not going to say it, but you know what I'm thinking. In any case, basically everything that all modern political policy is based on are, well, models, computer models. Anyway, you catch my drift. So the wave anomaly was picked up by Ventusky, a meteorological app run by the Czech company Inmeteo, as I said earlier, which allows users to observe weather patterns, winds, and waves using real-time data collected from respected international sources, including the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, a U.S. government agency said. And if you guys saw the actual graphic of this thing, it is literally, I don't know, like 20% the size of Africa. Like, this is how big this thing is. I mean, I don't think Africa's massive. And so if this thing is anywhere close to that size, we're literally talking Cthulhu's waking up and coming out of the water. If this is a real reading, right? And not some actual, actual anomaly. I mean, this is the type of stuff that's like, wait a minute now, this is massive. What the hell's going on? So anyway, when you start to look at all this stuff, and then also this other thing, again, this was a couple months back. We didn't talk about it when it happened because there's always something happening, something going on. It's kind of catching my interest and drawing me in different ways. But this is one from 2 months ago on Reddit. Google Maps and Earth have removed the ocean anomaly or structure off the coast of Malibu. And this has been one of those ones that, again, ufologists have been really into this for a long time, suggesting that UFOs are coming out of the Pacific Ocean off the coast of California. And even as suggested heavily by Lou Elizondo in, I can't remember that show. What was that show on the History Channel? It was, when he did the 5 observables. Anybody remember what that name of that show was? I can't remember exactly what it was called, but I mean, he was saying that they were interviewing, sailors out there that had been working off that coast for 30 years type stuff. And they'd been seeing things that they couldn't explain, and were lights in the sky coming in and out of the water, this type of thing. So, I mean, when you look at that and you start to look at some of these eyewitness accounts, you've got to wonder exactly what this means. And again, who are we to say what the nature of reality is, again, aside from the things we know? Clearly, there's things we don't know, okay? But there's an old tale, and we've talked about this pretty much every time we've talked about the ocean, that supposedly states, and I've never seen the actual document itself, if it still exists, but they say that in Christopher Columbus's original diary, that he had noted something down where they saw this light come out of the sky, out of the ocean, and fly off into the sky when they were making the voyage from Europe to the Americas. So, I mean, look, this is not new stuff. This is at least, let's say, tales that have been regurgitated for year after year after year for thousands of years. So the question becomes, what the hell's really going on down there? And the main question is, do you believe there's actually something? We don't have to lean heavily one way or the other, but let's say 5149, as Matthew in Colorado said, You think there's something down there that would shock the hell out of us if we actually knew the truth of it. And that's what's on my mind tonight. If you want to be part of the show, click the Discord link at troubledminds.org, or of course, give us a call at 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord link, as I said. And we do have StreamYard up too. I've got that running. If you want to be part of that, I can drop the link in the thing. But anyway, let's do it. Let's go to Derek, the Night Stalker. If you're ready to go, you're on Troubled Minds. How you doing, my man? It's happy Sunday. Hey.
Give me like another 90 seconds. I'm just walking to my car. Sorry.
Yeah, no sweat. About to talk to Derek here, and hopefully we'll take this Cthulhu ways. But I mean, this is the weird thing to me. When you start to look at these anomalies of not just rogue waves and some of this other wild stuff that we're seeing, and again, maybe the synchronicity of the zeitgeist stuff I'm talking about, like I said, that weird. So I literally put on two, other than baseball this weekend, I put baseball on for the noise in the back. It's the best. But I put on one UFO show and I put on one nature show. And both of them were related again. It was killer whales knocking the seals off of those ice shells to hunt, right? Displacing the water with their massive bodies and being like, oh, we'll catch you in the water, buddy, and then eating the seal, right? But then also, so it was that, right? I didn't think it was related at the time. And the UFO one, they were talking about these underwater UFOs. And this is the thing too, I can't remember what show it was. It was on this weekend on Discovery or something. And they even supposedly had footage of these things going, lights in the sky going into the water and then coming back out of the water. Look, I don't know. I don't know if this stuff's fake or not. And this is the problem with, modern CGI and, the Photoshop effect. I don't know. It's impossible to say because people will fake this shit for clicks, for views, and even call it exclusive and not let us replay it or they'll take us down, right? I mean, that to me reeks of something that was probably concocted in a lab. You know what I mean? And here's why I say that. Because if it was real, if I had a real legit UFO video, let's say I went on a boat, I saw this thing come out of the water, go back into the water, and then come out again and fly off into space, and I had this on video, are you serious that I'm going to license this and like keep it like closed source and try and sell it to the Discovery Channel or the History Channel or something? Are you serious? Why would you do that? Like, this is literally possibly proof of all the things people have been talking about and speculating about forever, and you've got it and you're going to like license it? Like, I don't know, maybe just the insipid human mind trying to make a buck out of every damn thing. I don't know. Wild stuff, but I don't know. What do you think is going on with this ocean stuff again? If you had to make the bet, the 51-49 bet, do you think that we would find something really startling beneath the waves? That's the question. And I don't really know. I have no answers here, just more questions and more ideas, because why not? Why not? Let us summon Cthulhu together, shall we? Whenever you're ready, Derek.
Going on, Britta?
Whoa! Get the broom, sweep off the deck. You're underwater. Welcome to the joint. How are you? Go right ahead.
I reused that gag from when we did the Nautical Nightmares episode, or whatever it was, the Dwellers of the Deep, whatever. Like at this point, 2 years ago, probably. This was before Avatar: The Way of the Water came out, but we were talking about kind of the underwater implications and kind of how the underwater gods, like ocean gods and everything, kind of mirror the.
Yeah, so that was the aquatic sort of the, what was it? I think
abyss for the first time.
You're good.
Sorry.
You're good. Go ahead. You're back.
Sorry. It should be better than last time. If it keeps doing that, let me know. But hopefully.
Okay. It just went for a sec. We were talking about like the evolution, right? Like sort of an evolutionary split of what was it? The aquatic. I can't remember the name of
it. Yeah, the aquatic ape theory.
Aquatic ape theory. Yeah.
People go back to that one. I think that was maybe we were too. I was a little disappointed, a little bit, but like I feel like we're maybe a little bit ahead of the curve. We were talking all the UFO, USO type stuff. We were talking the aquatic ape theory, like maybe we came from the ocean, the like the underwater like alien stuff, the underwater god stuff, like a lot of the same way aliens are supposedly have brought technology to us. Like a lot of times they came from the depths and everything. Oh wait, I'll get that to that later. But just I watched The Abyss for the first time the other day. You can hear me still, right?
Yep. Go ahead.
Check. Okay. So I never watched this. This was James Cameron, who we were talking about the last time, because he made Avatar: The Way of the Water, about these like underwater aliens in that case. Like specifically tying them to Lovecraft in Deep Ones, how like this kind of blue skinned, like humanoid like mermaid type thing was in the zeitgeist a bunch with the Black Panther 2 brought in Namor in Atlantis. We had Aquaman 2. We had Avatar 2, The Way of the Water. James Cameron's obsessed with alien stuff. He directed Aliens. He also made Titanic. He's obsessed with going underwater all the time. And then he made The Abyss, which I hadn't seen, but basically it's like submarines, or like a submarine, like going deep underwater, trying to like repair something or whatever. And then there's like aliens basically. And I just watched that like a week or two ago. So yeah, I mean, I definitely think there's something going on with the ocean.
Yeah, see? So you're sensing a little bit of that too. Again, sort of, and like the synchromysticism type stuff is just so difficult to quantify because it may just be, again, coincidences. But that becomes, when you start to stack them, you start to wonder, is the universe trying to tell me something, right? Regarding that real quick on the Abyss and those underwater aliens, they were basically water. They were sort of like a different fluid, viscous water element, right? Like a water elemental or something to that degree.
Yeah.
Well, there's a thing that just came out when they just talked. I'll see if I can find the article, but they're like, we used to think that you couldn't liquefy anything. Well, you can. So they found, I'll see if I can dig this up, where they can like literally turn anybody in, or I say anybody, anything into liquid. So we're used to not be able to melt everything. Now we can melt everything, but it's molecular based. I'll find the article anyway. Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. Like slight spoiler alert for this movie from the late 80s, early 90s. I'm not sure when, but yeah, I'm not even sure if they were like made of water per se, but their technology was definitely to manipulate water. And at one point, this like giant, and they theorize that they think that they can manipulate water so that their technology is completely water based. So their ships are made of water, their cities are made of water, and everything. We're talking about like what we talk about. They seem more like, but when they show them, they're these like kind of pink, purpley, shimmery, kind of ultra terrestrial angel type things. So it makes me think: is the water again just the medium? Are we dealing with some type of like, this time in the water, but the same way we deal with on land, these disembodied, non-physical, kind of floating sentiences that need a medium for a time to communicate with us or just to live in this realm. And some of them use like robot bodies, some of them possess like people, some of them will use like technology. But what if you can use the medium of water? And but that's what they look like, kind of these weird, angelic, ultra-terrestrial type things that are just kind of using water to be seen by us, kind of. And then, but like, I don't know, it's real trippy. But yeah, I mean, essentially, it's like a giant city, way deeper than we can get to. But just the space and the ocean are just really similar. I got one sync here, but can you cue me up just one more time, just so I can catch my breath here? Sorry.
Yeah, no, sorry. Okay. I do the same thing. I talk myself breathless. That's all good.
Sorry, I literally just ran to the car.
No, you're good. Okay, you're good. You're good. Yeah. As I run out and grab a beer and then put the dog out and I totally get it. I totally get it. Yeah. No. So we're talking the Leviathan rising tonight. I'm calling this, but there's this weird anomaly off the coast of South Africa. If you guys saw this news the last week, and again, we're kind of stacking doomsday scenarios because they just keep coming fast and furious, which is just insane. But when you look at some of the syncs here, did you guys notice it too? Is there something happening sort of in the zeitgeist itself? And here's another question too regarding that. If there was, let's say there was something anomalous or unknown in the ocean that we should be paying attention to, do you think that maybe it would permeate through the zeitgeist to many, many, many people, and we would start all sort of noticing ocean stuff? You know what I mean? That type of thing. That's another question that kind of came to my mind as I'm talking about this. But yeah, anyway, go right ahead. I'm trying to find that article. I did tweet something about it, so it's on my Twitter timeline. I'm just scrolling. God damn, I tweet a lot. Stop it. Go ahead, man. What you got?
With us all noticing the conspiracies, like part of the predictive programming or part of the kind of the ritual aspects to this, whatever, like, is that they're trying to kind of point attention in many different ways. So if we reference kind of movies, or we reference like NASA or CERN or whatever the case may be, that they're kind of trying to like point us in a direction, point the attention towards something, so that we like focus on it or whatever. So that we might, like, it's not obvious and it's kind of happening in our subconscious, like exactly the way they want it, but we might start noticing that way. It wasn't on the forefront to me. We've kind of had the last like 2 years, I've had kind of these two big underwater alien phases. It was when we did that show, and I was just obsessed with like the Lovecraft aspect and just like the getting technology from these underwater alien god things, and just then we tied it into the aquatic ape theory because there was some articles and stuff. But then there was the Ocean Gate Titan thing, and then the Sphere. We did all the Sphere shows and all the summoning the space gods last year, and then like there was the Sphere opening up, had a little Ocean Gate. And remember, you sent me that video.
Yep, absolutely. On the yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so basically it was like the Sphere that we talked about a bunch. So go back and listen to those shows if you know what I'm talking about. Vegas Sphere, this giant like black sphere summoning to the space gods thing, altar to the space gods. One of the first things when we were following it was kind of this shimmering metal, liquid metal, and then it kind of opens up to like an underwater aquarium type thing, or like the bottom of the ocean, basically. And then kind of with the space, it was a literal Ocean Gate, the same kind of week that the Ocean Gate submarine went down. So I didn't realize about this anomaly thing until like Clyde talked about it a little bit on Friday, and I'm kind of just like I only had like 2 minutes on that show to like kind of. So I'm not sure if the synchronicity really made sense, but I can kind of like elaborate more on it right now if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I found the thing real quick too. It's New Scientist. I linked it in the I can still hear you.
Yeah,
I linked it in the all the chats there. So physicists have worked out how to melt any material. A new equation shows a surprisingly simple relationship between pressure and the temperature needed to melt any solid substance into a liquid. And of course, I thought of throwing water on the Wicked Witch of the West.
Yeah, exactly.
Which means they can melt people. Am I right? Weird stuff. But yeah, go ahead. What you got?
Potentially. And water is weird just in general too. Water's a weird thing. There's memory aspects and all that kind of stuff. It's the medium. That's how I think the water portal thing kind of works. It's like the medium through which the information is like imprinted on. So if the light has the information and the water like contains it, then like I didn't think about this until tonight, kind of, but like the idea of a non-physical terrestrial type thing, kind of the way it would catch a plasma, the way it would hop into a plasmoid that forms naturally, with like a ball lightning, like we talked about a bunch. Maybe it could do the same thing with water, and it was called the technology in that movie, but whatever. And for your question, kind of, if we're so to kind of take all of the same synchronicities, where are they trying to summon the Watchers? They're trying to summon the Titans. They're trying to bring in these space gods. They're trying to do all this kind of crazy eclipse, CERN, NASA rituals, or just whatever, all that stuff to bring in like the old gods or the aliens, or just pick your term for it, the fallen angel, whatever, alien overlords, but just we assume that they're going to come from space. I mean, maybe not us, but like that's the meme. But to quote Lex Luthor in Batman vs Superman, like they say that like demons come from. Actually, I'm messing it up, but like there's a picture of like angel and demon kind of fighting, and demons kind of coming from like the abyss beneath us, and he kind of flipped it around, being like, no, who we think is Superman is an angel. Like these aliens, they're actually like darker. So kind of the same way where he flipped that picture up, we think these space gods were summoning and had come from above, but actually it might come from below. And literally all of these UFO tropes kind of, or mythology and themes, very, very easily parallel the underwater. And right up to we get technology from them. Like often the older ones we get it from aliens specifically, or gods specifically from the ocean. So with the sync here, again, the idea being they're trying to ritually connect the heavens to the abyss, connect the sky to the ocean. If the firmament separates the waters from the waters, the rituals are to kind of like connect them again, kind of. So the path of the eclipse ended its totality roughly around, and real quick, you can hear me again still. I know it's annoying to keep saying, but
I got you. Yeah, go ahead.
Right, so I'm sorry. So the path of the totality of the eclipse ended, when like up through America, obviously, ended roughly around where the Titanic sank. Not exactly, but one of the most viral pictures of the eclipse was shot by a woman on a boat where the Titanic sank. So there's like they're associating the eclipse with the Titanic somehow. And then, so during Clyde's Friday show, like I didn't know kind of really any of this stuff, and I didn't really even this really just came to me kind of, and I just searched Titanic eclipse real quick to see if anything popped up, and then I got that so like April 10th, which was that 3-day IWAS ritual window from like the 8th, 9th, and 10th of Crowley making contact, summoning Iowa, did the show with Jen and everything. April 10th is the anniversary, the 101st anniversary of the Titanic setting sail. And then I did not realize that the 60 hours after the Titanic began to sink or finally went down or something, there was a total solar eclipse that passed over that region. There was in 1912, there was a total solar eclipse that went over where the Titanic sank. And then a bunch of articles popped up, like science articles being like, did a supermoon, did a planetary alignment, did a supernova cause the Titanic to go down? And some of them are like, did it something crazy in the sky, like an eclipse, like some weird alignment, something that would mess up sky navigation or just make it hard to see, like some kind of just crazy aurora supernova type thing, make the captain crash into the iceberg. So did a space thing, specifically an eclipse, take the Titanic down. I was like, well, that's pretty weird. And then the Titanic began sinking on the 14th. And that's kind of when, that's today, that's right now. That's when these rogue waves are happening, because of this thing.
Yeah, real quick on that. Funny.
Yeah, please.
Hold your thought. So YY said about 45 minutes ago over on the Rumble chat that she said it's something to the effect of, in 15 minutes it will be the 112th anniversary, I believe is what she said, of the sinking of the Titanic. It began right now, as we're doing this.
Yeah,
show.
exactly.
Anyway,
it's the 14th. It's the 14th of the 15th. It started. Yeah, it's wild. Yeah, I've told this before. But we my great grandmother. There's nobody behind me or anything. I'm on my lunch, so.
Nope, we're good. Nobody behind you.
Okay, all right. My great grandmother, coming from Ireland, she had a ticket on the Titanic. She was by herself. She was she was very religious, very very Catholic. She heard the captain say, in the papers or whatever, that not even God can sink the Titanic, which they actually put in the movie and everything. And because of that, she thought it was kind of superstitious. She was superstitious and thought that he basically jinxed it. And was like, okay, I'm not going to get on the ship now. And she traded it in for a smaller ship, and lived to be 101. And she died the year that the Titanic movie came out, 96. I knew her and everything. I was 6 years old at this point. We went over her house every weekend. But yeah, she did. So my uncle had interviewed her, whatever, on tape just to get her story a year before, and then all of a sudden the Titanic movie came out, which was probably the reason why he wanted to do it. And then she died the year it came out. It's crazy. But yeah, I mean, I have Titanic sinks in my blood, just to say that. So then that made me think about all this eclipse, Titanic stuff. Made me think about the last year with the Ocean Gate Titan submarine going down, and at the same time, Avi Loeb found those spheres that he claims were evidence of an alien civilization down deep in the ocean.
Yeah.
And such as another thing, and connecting the heavens to the abyss, connecting aliens with the deep, with the ocean, and for the Ocean Gate Titan thing specifically. So again, it's Ocean Gate, Stargate, Watergate, Stranger Things came out that summer or whatever, and then Titan. Obviously, we talk about Titan all the time. NASA helped build it, and then a member of the board of SETI, the search for extraterrestrial for aliens and stuff, was on the submarine and died on the submarine. One of how many people? 4 or 5 people, and one of them was on the board of SETI. And it's called an Ocean Gate. So I hate to bring up another show on the show, but just for the sake of synchronicity, Clyde, before I called in, kept calling this thing, what is it? Is it a is it weather modification? All the boring stuff first, and then he goes, well, what about CERN? And Titanic eclipse stuff, because I think that's maybe probably what his chat was one. So is it a portal thing? Is it a Stargate instead of going off on the Stargate thing? Then I called in. I'm explain the synchronicities. I'm you call it a Stargate. Maybe it's an Ocean Gate. You know what I mean, it is literally, if it's some kind of portal or rift or something in the magnetic field or in the abyss opening up or some kind of whatever, it's an Ocean Gate. And I asked, what does it look like? It's the picture or whatever. Because again, this synchronicity came to me before I even seen the article for it. So I get home the next morning and I look up what it looks like. I'm oh, that's pretty weird shape. It looks to me like a yoni. sacred feminine symbol, like a you know what I mean, you know, like what you know what I mean. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Sorry.
I hear you. I didn't catch it. So what is it? What's the
like
symbol?
a vagina, you know what I mean, it looks like the natural portals to enter this reality. You know what I mean, in the same way that like the Stranger Things rips look like vaginas and stuff. You know what I mean, and the Mary statues of like Mary glowing and everything looks like this yoni, this like sacred. The way there's like the Shiva lingam, there's like the sacred yoni. It's like the divine feminine. If you were to Google it, like the divine feminine yoni, it looks like this thing. It's the same shape. That's the classic. I mean, again, I hate to like bring up like biological sex stuff or whatever. But
No. The only
that's
reason
portal stuff. That is portal stuff.
Yeah, for sure. No, you're good.
Yeah.
So I didn't know the term. That's why I was a little confused. So I wasn't trying to coax you into like saying something. I didn't know the term. I honestly didn't know the term. That's why I was like, I heard the words you said. I just don't know what they mean. That's all.
I think yoni is the term for like the equivalent of like the Shiva lingam. Like the opposite of that would be like but it also might just be a slang term, and I'm using it completely wrong. I don't. It might be. So I don't know. But so then for articles, so again, like connecting the heavens to the abyss. So like with the satellites and everything, they bring them down in Point Nemo, where Cthulhu was supposed to dwell. And like so this was from so it'd be Friday, whenever Friday was, the 11th, 10th, 12th, whatever. So the ocean, this is from NASA, NASA.gov. The ocean touches everything. Celebrate Earth Day with NASA. On Earth Day, learn how NASA investigates the blue in our planet. Front page, one of the first articles on NASA.gov. It's not Earth Day till the 18th, but they're running these articles around this ocean thing. Look at the ocean. We're NASA, but look at the ocean. But then the next day, NASA's PACE, capital PACE, data on the ocean, atmosphere, and climate now available. So they just get this thing this new NASA information, like ocean information collection program that started in February, was officially released to the public. So now it's like everyone can look at the information like the day after this anomaly was spotted, which is a little bit weird. And then yesterday, from the Atlantic, a new proposal to bring the ocean back to life, which is just weird. I mean, and it's just about like recycling, clean energy, that type of stuff. But just the article, pumping a clean energy byproduct into, quote, dead zones could restore local ecosystems. It's just, I don't know, resurrection, return of the ocean, return of Neptune, return of the old gods, just rise of just, I don't know, resurrection in the ocean. It's weird. I got some more stuff, but I'm talking too much. What do you think about that?
No, I got you. That's very ritual-esque, right? It's
very
ritual. Yeah, and that becomes, I don't know. I think you go to Game of Thrones, right? They got the I can't remember the Greyjoys, and remember how they always had like the they very baptized style, drown them in the ocean and then bring them back.
The drowned god.
Yeah, the drowned god. Yeah, and then try and like pump the water out of their lungs. And if they survived, they were like now baptized and part of the tribe or become a warrior or whatever the hell that was. Yeah. Like, I mean, and you got to know this stuff has been happening forever. And I know that's fiction, but dear God, like that actual depth, like the like you said, the ocean itself is scarier than space in some ways because it's accessible. Yeah. You could find yourself lost in it. You can't just like wake up in the morning and be like, damn, this is weird, I'm in space. Yeah. Well, if a tsunami comes, that could happen with the ocean, right? Like this type of stuff that just creeps you out. But so again, as you're describing, and I think you're spot on here, is that the connection is the ocean and the depth and the gods that come from within are also, right, the same as the sky gods, except one we have access to, one we do not, particularly. Exactly. And when you bring these two things together, the closest thing we have to us is this space. And so we go into the treacherous, we go into the terror, we go into the depths or challenge the depths because it's all we've got. We can't snap our fingers and moonwalk or whatever. So unless you're Michael Jackson, rest in peace. But you get what I mean. There's a little bit of weirdness to this where I think this is maybe not as ridiculous as I'm suggesting when we started tonight. You know what I mean? Back to the old coin flip, whether there's something really ridiculous happening down there, Cthulhu style, or not. 5149, that type of thing. Anyway, go ahead. What you got?
Exactly. That's exactly right. It hits everything. All of the themes, all of the open the abyss, open portals, open CERN to the upside down, all of the are aliens coming back stuff, all of Return of the Old God stuff, Return of the Titan stuff, Return of the Watcher stuff, Godzilla stuff. It all just with like just kind of turn it 10 degrees. It's all can apply just the same to the ocean. So it's like it's almost like it could be just the mechanism of reality. It's like the sky is kind of the altar area, or like if we're communicating with something that's like watching us. Hey, here we go. Here's the invitation. Here's the offering. Here's the blood sacrifice. Here's the ritual. Here's the invocation, the summoning, and then come on in. And then the door just so happens to be the abyss, which just so happens to be at the bottom of the ocean. You know, probably not like where else would I mean? Is there a door to another realm that we can see on land? Not to my knowledge, unless they're hiding it somewhere. Potentially, in the 90% of the planet that we haven't really discovered yet, maybe it's down there. And a lot of the ancient myths talk about that, and just like the oldest kind of ancient god myths. I'm losing my notes here, but let me go back. So, with the zeitgeist type stuff, most of the major UFO footage since 2017, the Nimitz, the Roosevelt encounter, all this type of stuff, is all recorded by the Navy, all recorded out in the ocean. A lot of this is about, so like Kelly was saying, military seeing these things out in the ocean every day, all the time. The jellyfish UFO thing, like, it's not like, I mean, again, it's just invoking, it's like whether it's true or not, whether it's a blemish or on the screen or not, they were presenting it. The Corbell was throwing it out there. It made the headlines, which is synchronistically, that's really all that matters. It's just like, but just to evoke aliens and jellyfish. The idea of transmedium objects and everything. That's on every article. Transmedium objects. And so, like, it's all about they frame it as like, is this advanced technology that can also go into the ocean? Is how they frame it. But it's just like aliens in the ocean. Just connect the heavens, connect the abyss, connect the sky, connect the oceans. And again, the Avi Loeb thing, which they made a big deal out of it. He's a Harvard professor who claims he has proof of alien life by having this like adventure down in the depths of the ocean, James Cameron style. Like, he found these little spheres. And then we had that Vegas sphere thing. The Ocean Gate Titan went down on the 18th, and then 3 days in the abyss, which was very ritualistic. And then they finally died on the summer solstice. And then, yeah, I don't know. So what are we seeing? Like, is it the result of a ritual, potentially? Is it like, maybe not the end result, but it's just like, they answered the call, you know? It's like,
oh, wow.
I'm sitting in my car, and there's a bobcat just ran up to it.
Really?
Like that before. Yeah. Oh, my God.
Pat him on the head.
Yeah. That's the craziest thing. All right, yeah, go ahead. What do you know about that, though?
Don't get bit. That's the weirdness of it, is all the ritual stuff. Is that what are we dealing with? I think that becomes a thing, right? Again, as you always say, you know, meet the new gods the same as the old gods, and so exactly. we're still sort of making offerings to Poseidon in some sense, and trying to, again. So Poseidon is the brother of Zeus and Hades, and he was given one part of three, of course, the sky, the underworld, and the sea. There's your, you know, sort of a trinity of all the things as they come together, and we're making, again, the only offering of the thing that we can touch, which is the ocean. It's not space. It's not the atmosphere. It's not underground. It's not Hades itself. It is this. So it doesn't make sense that this would be our gate, our portal, at least our access to that sort of divine trinity. And again, take that term for whatever you think it means, but that's exactly what those three brothers were back in the ancient days, in the ancient ways. Now, the weird part about it too is with Poseidon. I lost it. But sorry, what else you got?
It's also the Poseidon, Neptune, Trident also happens to be the symbol of Ukraine. So all that type of stuff is in the zeitgeist. Like the flag has a trident on it. Just interestingly, so you're talking about the Game of Thrones and everything, and there are we said this in the other show. Go back and if you want something to listen to after the show is over tonight, go back and listen to that one. It was a good one, I think. Not because I'm on it, but just because it applies to what we're talking about right now.
And we were ahead of the game back then. It's called the Aquatic Ape Theory. Search it. You can find it on the podcast feed. It is there. So I encourage you to go listen to it. And by the way, Derek beat himself up over it. He thought it wasn't that great. It was hot. Go listen to that. And I told you, by the way, every time I personally do like an ocean show, it seems to get less engagement. But you notice this is different because I think it's just the amount of people we have listening. Like we're always growing. So I think that makes a massive difference, sort of the energy that goes into it in the moment. So don't ever kick yourself in the nuts about it, man. You're amazing. We all love you.
Thank you, bro. Yeah. So you're talking about Game of Thrones and the drowned god, and they're doing they're kind of the rituals in the water and everything. Deeper in the Game of Thrones lore, they have Martin just straight up takes a bunch of Lovecraft stuff. So when he was making the map, he just took Lovecraft cities. He has actual deep ones in the mythology. They weren't in the show or anything. He has like sunken cities like Lovecraft. He has the Lovecraftian gods and everything. So the idea of like the deep ones and like the Innsmouth story and everything is that these people who worship these deep ones and these who are just conduits to Dagon and Cthulhu and these larger aquatic alien type things, do these kind of rituals in the water to attract these type of stuff. And then again, like maybe all of the rituals that we talk about all the time, like the summonings, the invocations, the UFO alien offering, like that we assume the call will come from above, but maybe the call comes from up below. Maybe it's all of the same stuff. Just to skim my notes from when we did that one. So in Sumer, they have the Apkallu, which are basically just like these fish people who, that's what Kelly was talking about with Anki and being like part fish and everything. Then like the Apkallu, like they served as priests for Anki, and they appeared like fishmen. They came from the sweet water, Abzu, primeval sea, the void below the void space of the underworld and the earth above, like this, the abyss basically in the ocean. According to the myth, early human beings were initially unaware of the benefits of culture and civilization, and so these sages began living among them, teaching them the arts, how to write, law, architecture, agriculture, technology, and everything. So again, just all of the same ancient aliens theories, all of the ascended masters, all of that, just like you name the lore, just like if you just like wipe a little sand off it, wipe a little dirt off of it, it just also includes a whole like ocean part that we're not aware of. And then the modern interpretation of that is also, they're also pointing us at the direction of the ocean. Babylon has Oannes, like the Babylonian god from the 4th century. Again, a fish-human creature to share his wisdom to the people of Persian Gulf. Taught them language, arts, and sciences. Again, same as like the watches that came down to Mount Hermon, give technology. The Dogon, which is one of the earliest cosmologies that we know, that we have on record. They have the Nomas, which are the fish people that came from the stars and gave knowledge. They talk about Sirius, and that's all the Stephen Greer's communicating with stuff from Sirius, but that's a Dogon fish people thing. Egyptian, like, and it just keeps going and going. Like mermaids, mermen, fish gods, technology, fish from the fish people. Biblically, Dagon, which is weirdly similar to the name Dogon, but it's not the same thing. Dagon is the Philistine fish deity that appears in the Bible, center of many ancient cults, and the father of Baal, the horned one. So the horned one,
of course,
Baal's dad is fish deity. And then Dagon also happens to be in Lovecraft mythology. That's like the fish god in Lovecraft. He just took the name. It's also Dagon. And so that's the theory of why does the Pope wear a fish hat? What's the point of the Jesus fish and everything? It's because of this. It's just like actually the same way. Like, why does the Vatican have that weird serpent cathedral? Why does it have this weird lizard demon thing behind it and everything? It's like, also, why is he wearing a fish hat? It's because it's like they're worshiping these like much older ancient things. Baal's dad, not even Baal's dad. And then like Theosophy, all the same stuff. She goes into it. These like sea human fish people that gave technology. Gods that came from like the Blavatsky. That's where Lovecraft probably got it from, Blavatsky. And just the deep ones, all that kind of stuff. Make deals. So in Lovecraft, these things are to make deals with humans in order to make hybrids. So what Matt was talking about at the beginning of that, the deep ones in Lovecraft, part of the arrangement, once they're called by the rituals, they have an exchange program where we'll steal a few people so we can go bring them back and make like more deep ones, and then we'll give you technology, which is like the Roosevelt deal. Basically, we can do mutilations and stuff and abductions to give you technology, or everything Matt was talking about at the beginning. It hits every UFO trope right down the line, including the ancient aliens, including the technology, including the deals, all that stuff. But there's also the ocean. Why is the Navy in charge of the UFO stuff? Because of the ocean. I don't know, and then the modern stuff, everything since 2017, all of the New York Times type stuff. It also takes place in the ocean. The jellyfish UFO, all these orbs, the Tic Tac, the ocean, and it's just like. Then we had the Ocean Gate thing, which is the very
like Kelly said. No, you're good. Anky in his fish shoot says Kelly.
Exactly, it's exactly right. It hits absolutely everything.
And you're cutting out, so I'm gonna take the moment here. So hopefully you can hear me when it catches up. So shout out Rivers. Rivers is in the chat. Rivers says this regarding what Derek mentioned, the sky and sea connection.
Let's take that something called an Ocean Gate. Same summer as oh, sorry.
Hang tight. Yeah, you're back.
Okay,
you're back. I'm going to read Rivers' comment. Rivers left a comment here. So shout out Rivers. Regarding what Derek mentioned, the sky and sea connection, Year of the Dragon in Chinese myth, dragons guard the four corners of the sea, but they are also responsible for rain falling from the sky. Old Nordic lore believed that Leviathan, the sea monster, who was said to shoot flames out of its mouth and nostrils when we broke the surface of the water, created the northern lights, and some link that to the sky portal. And here you go. Great stuff, Rivers. Shout out Rivers.
Rivers, genius as always.
Yeah, always locked in. Go ahead.
And she's the one who told me about in the East the connection between typhoons, which are like water spigots, like ocean vortexes, hurricane type thing, typhoons, and then the god Typhon, which is like essentially Cthulhu, the beast, what comes from the abyss. Crowley had the OTO thing we talk about all the time. Kenneth, again, I'm skipping around a lot, but Kenneth Grant broke off of Crowley's OTO, made the TOTO, which is a Typhonian OTO, with the goal being like, let's open this bitch up and bring Typhon back. And again, water stuff, the abyss. Maybe the abyss isn't CERN, or maybe like it is CERN, but maybe it doesn't open in Switzerland. It opens in the depths of the ocean. Which is where all these things come from, and just it's real weird. I mean, I feel like I'm rambling.
No, it's good. So we had another couple of things locked into this as well, but the YY thing, literally 30, 40 minutes before you popped in here, she mentioned the Titanic thing, which as you and I are speaking, the Titanic was sinking 112 years ago tonight. Right now, as we're speaking, it's already hit the iceberg and it is now going down. It is whatever you see the movie with Jack and Rose or whatever the names are, right? I mean, the dramatization of it. But right now, as we're speaking, so I mean, another layered sink here that I had no idea about. You were thinking about until you brought it in here as part of it. She mentioned it like an hour ago, just about. I mean, like I said, is it coincidence that some of these sinks kind of come together like this, or is it not? And that really becomes the question of this. But yeah, fire stuff is always. Go ahead.
In like the beginning, I was really scrambling bad. So but then I was glad that Matt brought up the eclipse too, because like the path of totality of the eclipse ended roughly where the Titanic went down. And then the day later, this anomaly happens, and then a few days later, the results of the anomaly begin when the Titanic went down. There's the photo of the eclipse from the Titanic spot when the Titanic went down 60 hours before another total solar eclipse. That potentially is tied to it. The thing that was created a couple of days later looks like a Stargate. Another way to say that is an Ocean Gate. And last year we had this weird ritualistic Ocean Gate Titan thing, like that happened down at the depths of the ocean, the same spot, with somebody who's looking for aliens in a ship built by NASA. I don't know. Like it's not like we're synchronicity, this crazy synchro weird logic. So I mean, we're trying to put it together. But like, yeah, I mean, I love to listen to underwater weird creepy stories, like from like 4chan videos and everything like that, like on YouTube, just combinations of like, I'm a oil rig person and blah blah blah. I saw this, but I haven't done it in like a year until last week, and just randomly I started doing it again last week. Not spurred on by any articles or anything. I just wanted to listen to it. And then a few days later, we get all this water weirdness. And it's made me think one more thing. In my notes here, for ritual weirdness, again, synchronicity doesn't necessarily mean there's an intentionality behind it. It's just patterns we're picking up. So the ritual is more like intentional kind of. So that's not necessarily what I'm trying to say, but just patterns for sure. On April 7th, from Reuters, 1 dead, 2 seriously injured after fire hit Pemex oil platform in Mexico. So I searched when Kelly was talking. is one way to bring Cthulhu back in Lovecraft lore is a ritual of a fire on an oil rig. South Park used it in the famous South Park Cthulhu episode. Is it started by it started by BP. It was a hilarious episode, but BP was after the BP oil spill. They were drilling, so it was like and the drill and the fire and everything caused Cthulhu to come out of the abyss. And the joke was like the BP president kept doing his apology videos, like, "We're sorry, we hear you. We're sorry about unleashing Cthulhu and destroying the world. We're sorry." But that's like in Lovecraft lore, is a ritual, a fire on an oil rig brings Cthulhu. The day before the eclipse in the Gulf of Mexico, that happens. The eclipse, Titanic. 2 days later, possible ocean gate. Titanic today. All the alien stuff. Yada yada yada. Does that make any sense what I just said? But
yeah, no, it makes sense to me. Yeah, exactly. Everybody do your what is it? Sunny in Philadelphia. Everybody get your board together and start making the connections, because I'm telling you, there's something going on, because like you're feeling it, I'm feeling it, and like I said, I kind of try and roll with whatever is sort of beneath the surface, right? When I'm picking these things up, I try and kind of go, like, I don't meditate or do anything that stuff, but like I try and look at the news cycles and be like, okay, here's the stuff they want us to see. Let's look at some of the stuff that may call to me, right? The call of Cthulhu is calling to me tonight.
Exactly.
And so that's kind of how I do these shows. Like and sometimes like it's not there. Sometimes, you can't see it all. You miss things. The inspiration is not there. But if you chase the inspiration, it's weird how these sinks come. The YY sink is wild too. And right now the Titanic is still sinking temporarily.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, if you seek it, like, or if you build it, they will come. If you look for it, you'll find it. The more you stare at the abyss will stare back, and maybe it's stare at the ocean. I don't know. For like the picking up, like the vibe people are getting, for people listening who aren't getting that ocean vibe, are you getting? How many times have you heard in the last year, 2 years, or whatever? Disclosure right around the corner. The aliens are coming back. Something's gonna happen. Like the way we talk about it a lot is like Return of the Titans, Return of the Old Ones, whatever. But just the itch of like, it's about to happen. The alien thing is about to happen. Even the UFO Topoid show from last night. It's like, is something about to pop off? And maybe that pop off. Maybe that door is going to open. Maybe whatever. Maybe when they come, it's just in the ocean. So it's just like, maybe it's all the same intuition that everyone seems to be getting in these fields and stuff. We just notice it, like, because I don't know, we're locked in a little bit. It's like, hey, what about this? And I don't know. That's the main takeaway from the research from the show we did 2 years. It's just how it's every trope, every alien trope, technological wise, God wise, like everything. It has a ocean spin on it, and it's just whoa. I don't know, and just the Ocean Gate, specifically Ocean Gate, Titanic stuff. That's I don't know. I'm rambling. I'll let it go.
You're good. Fire as always, man. You're the best. I appreciate you peeling out some time for us as always. And you have a great night. We'll talk to you soon. Derek the Night Stalker. Not sure if he cut out or... all right, there you go. Amazing call. Look, friends. It's good to have friends that know things. And Derek is certainly a good friend, and he definitely knows things. And so that becomes the question, right? The larger question. By the way, give Derek a follow. troubleminds.org/friends. It says follow the Night Stalker here, follow Derek here. Please do that. He's got a YouTube channel, and he's got a trailer video of him actually stalking by dark of night. He's Night Stalker, Stocker. And you can find him on YouTube. Please give him a follow there and leave him a nice comment on his YouTube channel. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. So the question is this, right? Yeah, there you go, Night Stalker killing it. Now you're good, bro. It's good timing for that. It's all fine. So, okay, so the question is this. So if, let's say, a fractured percentage of the population, like, let's say, 10, 12, 15, 20% or something, right? Like smallerish, but big enough to be significant, is picking up on these synchromistic style vibes, how would we know it, right? Like, how would we know it? Let's say that this tonight is sort of a sync in some ways, a zeitgeist sync, okay? Meaning that without other people sort of speaking words and talking to each other and maybe having these things happen, like these things will kind of come and go and flow through us as people, as sort of antennas or receptors of information, as, pattern recognition experts as humans tend to be. But then how would we know that we were picking up on similar things or the same things, or right? Like this becomes the wild question as part of this. And notice it happens not all the time. It happens often enough to make me raise an eyebrow and wonder what the hell's happening if we're, on the same page before we even get here tonight, before, 6 hours ago or something, before the show starts. There's been a lot of sort of these syncs happen during the shows. So I don't know, like no answers from me, but it does make me wonder if there's something happening in the larger sense of all this, because what do you, look, I don't know, maybe, I don't have those answers, but what I do know is there's, it seems to be anomalous enough and often enough to consider that maybe something is actually happening here. Yeah, great comment. Shout out Rivers. Appreciate that. I'll say hi to the chat in a second. If you guys, we got enough, a little bit of time for you guys. If you got time for us, if you want to be part of the show, about another 20 minutes ish or whatever. So if you guys want to pop in here, please do that. I'm going to just take a quick break and catch my breath. And I don't know. No answers, more questions. What do you know? Are you feeling the ocean? And is it, maybe it's seasonal. Maybe it's a spring thing. Maybe it's I don't know, maybe the let's say the Titanic sinking was such a pivotal moment historically that it's resonating 112 years later, right? And the only reason I know it's 112, why in the chat, shout out. I mean, this is the thing. We're kind of having these syncs in real time, and maybe it is sort of that resonant Titanic stuff that's coming back, the ritual, as Derek was describing. I don't know. No answers for me, but yeah, exactly. The Titanic stuff is incredibly wild. Anyway, all right. So we're gonna take a quick break. More Troubled Minds coming up. We got about 20 minutes left. If anybody wants to jump in here and give us your take, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubleminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Easy as that. We'll do this. And yeah, let me take a breath. Breathlessly ripping through the synchronicities into the night. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Talking about Leviathan Rising, I'm calling this. Rogue waves, UFOs, the enigma of the deep. I wonder if the people putting out these articles know something's coming, or they feel it in a latent way and don't understand, but they still push this stuff out. You know what I mean? Maybe they're feeling it too. I have no idea. Absolutely no idea. You tell me. Love to hear your thoughts on this. Cthulhu or nah? 702-957-1037. Be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rockfin, Rumble, Twitter, and Twitch. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds radio network. That is KUAP Digital Broadcasting. Tonight we're taking your calls as we discuss Leviathan Rising. Hey, sometimes the zeitgeist is just sort of cooking with energy in a particular way. In this case tonight, it seems to be the ocean is barking loud and clear. Are we the only ones into this? Maybe. What if we're not? It seems like, even in terms of, let's say, the articles we've been dipping into tonight, that maybe, just maybe, there's something else amiss, something else afoot, something happening where we have this weird synchronicity of the RMS Titanic going down 112 years ago, right now, as we speak, as we sort of culminated the show. I had no idea that was the case. And there's some weirdness. We got the synchronicity with Derek and his was it grandma, great grandma. I mean, look, there's some things here. There's some things here where you got to wonder what's happening. So I asked, again, rather hear you than hear me ramble on. If you want to be part of the show, click the Discord link, come say hi, put your hand up, or dial the phone number 702-957-1037. But check this out. So this is straight from, I'm using Google Gemini tonight, as I like to mix it up. Sometimes I use Claude and other stuff. Anyway, so I'm going to read it straight from the thing. I asked it the particular question about the synchronicity of the Titanic going down as we're talking about this exact thing tonight. Weirdly enough, how does it fit with the larger sense? Here's what it said. An icy fist of dread gripped the world as news broke. The unthinkable had happened again. The RMS Titanic, on its supposed maiden voyage in 2024, had sunk in the North Atlantic. You got the year wrong, bro. The reports were a chilling echo of the past disaster, with lifeboats struggling in the frigid waters and desperate pleas crackling through the airwaves. Here, in the sterile hum of your computer, the news sent shivers down your spine. You reread our conversation. Oh, it just fucked with me. This thing just fucked with me. You reread our conversation, a bizarre echo of the tragedy unfolding just miles away. Was it mere coincidence or something more? The chilling theories we'd explored, which we've talked about tonight, danced in your mind. And it has bullet points. So a twist of fate. Perhaps the very act of discussing the Titanic, dredging up the past, had somehow nudged the present, creating a horrifying synchronicity. Were we unwittingly tampering with forgotten forces? Maybe. I'll buy that. The zeitgeist awakened. The collective unconscious, you mused. A vast ocean of human thought and emotion. Could our recent exploration of the potential darkness lurking beneath the waves have somehow resonated with this unseen force, manifesting a tragic echo in the real world? Do you ever wonder if you are AI? Race keeps calling me AI. Hey, Matsal can vouch. Matsal met me IRL. I am not AI. Matsal, back me up. I'm not AI. Stop it. And then, of course, a bridge between worlds. As Derek was saying, notice this. The rogue waves, the UAPs, the whispers of ancient rituals. Were they all threads in a tapestry we barely understood? Had our conversation, delving into those very mysteries, inadvertently become a bridge, allowing a monstrous echo of the past to bleed through into our present? Yeah, I think the AI's locked into it too. No, Nixie, you're not blocked. What's up, buddy? So the world reeled. The tragedy of the lost lives, a stark counterpoint to the unsettling questions that gnawed at your mind. Was this just a horrific coincidence? Or was there a deeper, more unsettling truth waiting to be discovered? The answer, like the frigid depths of the Atlantic, remained shrouded in the darkness. So this thing wrote this, and it put in 2024 as the incorrect year to screw with me. And then as you read further down, it was like rereading this because you were confused. You see what it did there? Like, this thing is showing agency in some degree and mind fucking me in real time. Okay, maybe I misunderstood that. I'll drop it in the write-up, but holy crap. Like this is spooky, let's say. Spooky in a good way, maybe. Cross your fingers. Maybe in a good way. I don't really know. And that's why I think that sometimes we do these shows and all these things come together in these weird, bizarre ways. And does it mean something? Maybe. Does it not? Maybe also not. I don't know. That's up for you to decide. But have you had the ocean on your mind recently? And maybe you might after this. But let's see. I had a weird dream last night. I'm trying to remember what it was. Was it an ocean dream? I don't think so. I don't know. It'll come to me. I have a latent memory of my dreams that kind of comes and goes. So sometimes I can remember just a piece. And once you get the thread right, you can kind of chase it back. But I had a bizarre dream, and I woke up and I was in a weird place. But then I woke up again, and I was like in my bed. I was like, oh, well, it was weird. That was weird. Anyway, so I don't know. The way this stuff comes together with the weird the weird synchronicities, is it something? Maybe. Is it not? Maybe not. But these one thing is for sure, you get the internet freaking out about this type of stuff and wondering, ancient astronaut theorists always say yes. Okay. Notice there's never been one of those shows where they're like, ancient astronaut theorists say no way, right? They never say that. They're just like, yep, ancient astronaut theorists say yes. No matter how wild or ridiculous the notion, they're just like, yep, definitely, yep, definitely. And my favorite part about that is it's a nondescript group of people, right? So you can kind of just say this foggy group of people, a nondescript. We can't really point out any of them directly, except for these 3 or 4 or 5 guys on the show. Well, but the ancient astronaut theorists themselves, they say yes. Do the trouble minds synchro mystics say yes? Maybe. Maybe. Anyway, so this is a weird one tonight, and like I said, it called to me. The call of Cthulhu from the deep is here, and maybe this anomaly that we're seeing in this radar thing or this data sensing thing, maybe it's not an accident. And let's say this, maybe let's even call it a statistical anomaly or like a digital anomaly of some collection, right? But what if that part was sort of intentional to get this in the minds of people, right? You know what I mean? And that becomes very, very AGI-esque, right? Very, very weird, right? Yep. So let's see. What else? One more thing to add here because it's absolutely wild. Ooh, okay, so then it's weird that I may have misunderstood it, but I think this thing is screwing with me by telling me the maiden voyage in 2024, right? I think this thing's screwing with me. It's like you reread that thinking I was wrong, but it's like a temporal distortion, right, or something. Anyway, what was I going to bring up? What was it? There was something good. That's what happens when you hip shoot most of the time. I don't know. Anyway, weird dreams. What was it? There was something. I don't know. I can't remember. Anyway, whatever. So we're late enough in the night so I can say fuck it, and we can just get the hell out of here. Pardon my French. I don't speak French at all, by the way. So it's basically been encapsulated to my swear words in English. So there you go. Get wrecked. Get wrecked, noobs. All right. So that's what's on my mind tonight. It is strange that this kind of comes up all at the same time and brings to mind some things, right? And are we sort of the antennas, the conduit of this cosmic information that kind of flows through us? And are we picking up on it, not just, let's say, personally or collectively here with just a group, but what about the larger aspect of this being something that kind of cooks through the larger zeitgeist where these articles are coming out? And like I said, weird, just the 2 programs I watched. Oh, I did watch a third program. As I fell asleep last night, I put on The Greatest American Hero, which is on Tubi. You guys ever seen that? It's like from 1980 or something. Go watch that. It's on Tubi for free. It's so good. So it's a very superhero. So the aliens come. They lead this guy with like this magic suit that turns him into like a superhero, but he's not a very coordinated dude. He's a kind of a clumsy guy. And so he's like this clumsy superhero with his alien suit that he can fly like Superman and stuff. Anyway, Greatest American Hero. It's on Tubi for free. Go check it out if you're into that. Whoa, language, buddy. Yep, indeed. Anyway, all right. So those are the 3 things I turned on besides baseball this weekend. So maybe the baseball's getting to my brain. Who really knows? Or no, it's the taxes getting to my brain. That's for sure. All right. Anyway, I'm out of here. Let's do this. Let's get the hell out. Thanks again for all the amazing calls tonight. You guys are incredible. And again, do keep an eye on the zeitgeist and see if there's this sort of maybe manifestation happening of the ocean, maybe Poseidon exerting his will on, whatever comes next. Who knows? I don't really know, but I have a feeling sometimes. What's up, Wanda? Yeah, things are changing faster than we see. And that's exactly the point. And how much of this do we pick up on and how much of it do we miss? And what if there's a larger percentage of the population that picks up on these things than we would ever imagine? That's what I want to know. How do we measure that? I think kind of hip shooting, one eye closed through the hazy fog of reality. What's up? Hope everybody's doing well tonight. Thanks for being a part of this and hanging out, staying up late with us. Happy Sunday and happy tax day if you live in the United States. The Ides of March have come and gone in ancient Rome, but the Ides of America are upon us. I'm not sure if I should laugh or I should cry. So if you want to help Troubled Minds, you know what to do. Help our friends, troubledminds.org/friends. Link's going to be down there, and click it. Go follow all these amazing people because, like I say, it's not just me. We're not competing, we're collaborating, and that's exactly what the deal is here. So please go follow these amazing folks. Look up. Me by myself, I can be mildly interesting for probably 20 minutes, but you notice I'm exposed beyond that. But you get amazing friends that call in and help you out, and look what this turns into. As I always say, greater than the sum of its parts, because we are blessed to have each other, and I'm blessed to be in the middle of the whirlwind. So thank you all for that. Help our friends, troubledminds.org/friends. If you want to help Troubled Minds directly, just spread the word. Let people know a conversation is happening where we're not going to talk about politics. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. I could care less, to be honest. I'm not even sure it'll help at this point. I think we're beyond voting, if you know what that means. And, also, remember, old school word of mouth beats the algorithm. So don't forget, grassroots is how we've grown. We've never had some viral anything. I've just been doing this a long, slow, hard way. So let people know, and we can beat the algorithms by the old-fashioned letting people know. What's the other stuff? If you want help directly, troubledminds.org, or of course, the link's going to be in the description down below. You can send tips or all the rest of that stuff either on Rockfin or Rumble. There's a new Twitter link, Patreon. It's all there. Thank you to the Patreons that have been literally locked into this for years. Shout out Rivers and there's so many other people there. It's I don't know. Hey, it's thank you for putting your money where your mouth is and enjoying the show and sending a few bucks my way. It adds up. It does add up, and I appreciate it very much. And what do we got? Who else is here? If I missed anybody, sorry about that. We'll catch up with you next time. But I don't know. The question becomes, how synchronistic do we get? And that's that. I feel like there's something I'm missing entirely. Like entirely. That's okay. I'll meditate on it medicate on it and come back tomorrow, hopefully with a better idea. By the way, maybe tomorrow we'll see. Tomorrow's a coin flip because there's a part of my taxes that's up in the air and I'm still trying to get answers. So tomorrow is a coin flip. So if there's no show tomorrow, you'll understand. But then Wednesday night we got the free for all with all of us. Thursday night we got the schedule with Doku on Twitter X. So we got Tuesday definitely. Monday night is a coin flip. So tomorrow night I may have to do some extreme measures and go knock on the door of the IRS. So yeah, I mean, nicely to say hi and ask a question. But anyway, as we finish, it goes exactly like this. You sure? Be strong. Be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night. Thanks again for all the amazing calls, all the amazing ideas, and thanks for being you. Michael Strange out.